Welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, beings, foes, whoever may be listening. Beyond the Omniverse tonight, secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the four corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Saturday, February 22nd, Sunday, February 23rd for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. And thank you so much for joining me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. So if you're listening live right now, you may be listening to us on KPNL Radio, which you can find at KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch under We Are Paradox Media. Otherwise, if you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working it or working out, you can find us on Spreaker.com and beyond, or basically anywhere you listen to your podcast. So, I had a couple things to show you as far as like how my freaking week went and what I got from my grandson for Valentine's Day. So I got these cool Bigfoot like erasers and Valentines. That was pretty cool. They're chocolate scented. And then this is so super cute. Happy Valentine's Day, Grandma. Oh, maybe with his little feet and hands. I thought that was awesome. I wanted to show that to you guys. Yeah, I have not opened these Valentines. They're super cool. I don't know where she got those, but also I wanted to show you these bat rasters that have been eating my chicken food. It seems I've forgotten that they're made out of steak. So I've been putting them in hard to reach places, but I don't know. I guess I'm not afraid to go into the coop. So, yeah. They got into the coop, and I only know this because I just looked out the window about an hour ago and saw that the food dish was out of the coop and in the yard, and yeah. So I gotta go put that up when I put the chickens up. They're probably already on their scoots. But yeah, I got some pictures of them yesterday because when I went out in my yard, let me just make sure the sound's working over here. On my Spreaker. How's my Spreaker going? Oh, wow. So it was bouncing over there. I'm going to go ahead and put it right there. Right there, buddy. Hopefully it sounds all right on that setting. But yeah, so I went out yesterday to feed the chickens, and I turn around, and there's two bucks behind me, like scarily close, and I guess they're like not only friendly but hungry. So I figured I'd share some of these pictures with you guys. All right, let's make it bigger. Look at this! Look at this monster! This one's the older one, I believe. He seems to look like he's in rougher condition. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the first one. There's my son with the one, he's got tags in his ears. I don't know if that's because he's gotten stuck. There's one we have that got stuck in a volleyball net, and another one that got stuck in some Christmas lights. Here's the both of them. Yeah, the older one again. He's with this very suspicious look on his face. And yeah, I wasn't about to give them chicken food because that costs a lot of money. So I ended up having my boy grab a carrot for him, and then we had Lily go grab a carrot for him too. So she came out and fed these guys, and I've never seen a deer drool before. But yeah, I guess they were really hungry. Here's Floyd trying to coax him in. Come on, come get the carrot. But I was like, just throw it to him. So he did. And yeah, that's when Daisy decided she's going to go see what that buck's about to eat. And yeah, she's kind of pissed off that she didn't get a carrot too. But ever since Ghazi passed, ever since Hercules ripped her head off, Daisy's been running the yard. So yeah, she's the chick in charge. But yeah, look at this guy. Like, this is 2 feet away from me. 2 feet and approaching. Yeah, there's Miss Daisy. She's sideway looking. Where's my carrot? I can swear he's saying something right here. I don't know why he'd be looking like that otherwise. I don't see a carrot in his mouth. At one point when he was holding a carrot in his mouth, it looked like he was puffing on a cigar. Yeah, I'm like, Lily, just throw it to him. He came up a little closer, but yeah, they weren't going to get too close, and I didn't want them to. Like, this is very, very close. Yeah, I just didn't want the kids to get gored. I've been afraid of that for years because they hang out in this neighborhood. Yeah, so there's that. That was pretty funny. But yeah, that scared me. I turned around, I was like, what? What's going on, buddy? All right, now let's pull up some TikTok. Right, yeah, so tonight is Trippy TikToks with me, TessaTNT. Let me just make sure my sound here is okay. I don't want to get an echo. Echo. Hey, Chris. Yep. Trying to get over this dang old cold. It's going all right, I suppose. 150. Does that seem like bigger than usual? I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. All right, let's giddy up.
I think the craziest and the saddest part about the fires in Los Angeles is the timing of everything. A lot of people are saying they lost their insurance not too long before the fires. Just take a look at what James Woods says. He says in his neighborhood, about 4 months before the fire, one major insurance company canceled all the policies in his neighborhood. Just take a look at this picture of Pacific Palisades. Average cost of a home there is $3.4 million. Now, how about the timing of the cut of the fire department's budget? They cut more than $17.5 million about 7 months before these fires started from the fire department. And they were saying that they were severely understaffed and they didn't have enough resources to fight these fires. And then the $1 million question comes around. How the heck did these fires even start? And there are hundreds of conspiracies circulating around social media. But I have a question, and a lot of people have this question too, because I saw a lot of videos saying the same thing. It got so hot that the people who abandoned their cars, it started melting. Like the metal started melting down the street, but the trees around these cars looked fine. How is that even possible?
Insurance companies stopped covering fire damage, but I wonder if they lowered those monthly premiums.
I think the craziest and the saddest part about the fires in Los Angeles is the timing of everything. A lot of people are saying they lost their insurance not.
Everybody has heard.
And yeah, I don't know about you, but it reminds me a lot of Hawaii and what happened over there and, the planning for these smart cities. And just the insurance companies canceling when they did. Like, it just seems very suspicious. But there was all kinds of UFO footage around that time. And I saw somewhere it showed UFOs around, like, where these different fires started, but the AI could be not real. It could be people that were running around starting them, that were being paid to start it. I mean, it's just crazy.
About paranormal attachments, but here's an old tale of Appalachian witchcraft and magic that comes with one hell of a backstory, at least according to the legend. If you love terrifying stories of superstition and lore, don't forget to grab a copy of my short horror story compilation, Ghost Mountain Witches and Wanderers. It was the year 1820 in southeastern Kentucky, and 2 women, a mother and her grown daughter, were accused of witchcraft. The people around town believed that these 2 women had levied a hex against the beloved town constable, and for this crime they were sentenced to death. By the 1970s, the tale of the witches had evolved into something darker. The ruins of an old cabin, supposedly their home, still stood deep in the woods near the spot believed to be the site of the execution. To the locals, it wasn't just a spooky story for Halloween, it was a warning. Even 150 years after women accused of witchcraft faced execution for their practice of magic, folks around the small Kentucky town still singled out offbeat women here and there. One of those women was Judith Parsons. By the 1970s, Judith was getting up in 10 years. She lived alone, had never been married, and she had no children. She was a quiet, mysterious woman who kept to herself, and the folks around town found this behavior to be questionable. Judith didn't own a car, and she didn't drive, and often people would see her walking alongside the highway in the early morning hours and late at night. The most frightening part of the legend states that people who saw her also saw something following her, something that looked like a shadow, but it wasn't Judith's shadow. The shadow was much larger and normally stayed several paces behind her. For years, sightings of Judith and her shadow spread, fueling whispers about witchcraft and curses, but the story took a chilling turn when a local kid stumbled upon a shiny foil-wrapped package on the side of a rural country road, a road known to be one of Judith's usual routes. There's an old mountain superstition about getting rid of unwanted things. All you need is a totem infused with the energy of whatever it is you want to get rid of and a little bit of nice wrapping paper. The kid picked up the package and opened it, curious about what could be inside. From the shiny foil wrapping paper, they pulled a small weathered cloth doll. For a long time after this, those who saw the kid walking saw the walking shadow following them, and those who saw Judith Parsons never saw the shadow again. So what does all this have to do with the witches? It's believed that the little totem, the one found in the shiny wrapping paper, may have actually belonged to one of those witches. Follow for more spooky stuff. Everybody has...
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some strange footage apparently released by NASA on board the ISS. There's a bit of like an AI voice thing here that's just yapping, so just ignore that. But we have some strange anomalies on this piece of footage, or multiple pieces of cylindrical objects. We have like disc-shaped things appearing and vanishing, and then there's another one that is like this large tubular object, right? That just hovers down towards the Earth and it kind of just vanishes. Look at the state of this, bruv. Look, watch. Bloop. Houdini's flying that shit, bruv. Look at it disappear. I don't know, mate, right? But that is not normal, okay? There's a few things in this clip that isn't normal. And NASA keeps trying to cover up secret things and these weird anomalous activities because a lot of the time when you see this stuff happening on live streams, they pause it. NASA, right? We see when you cut off your feeds, when there's something interesting happening, right? When some little weird object flies in front of it and you're like, oh, unexpected error. We're seeing this, alright? We're not crazy. We know this stuff is going on. This is really interesting. Whatever it is, I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen some sort of weird stuff coming out of the, being caught in and around the ISS. But that tube object, for one, look at this, mate. This Pringle can just buggers off, mate. Unbelievable. You guys let me know what you think. This is kind of intriguing. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some strange...
Hey friends, I got good news for you. We're at the very beginning of the consciousness shift that we've been hearing about for so long. This is it. I'll explain to you why I think that and what it means. And it does have something to do with the new administration in the U.S. government. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, this is good for everybody in the long run. So here's what's happening. I was listening to the Explorer tape, the new one today from the Monroe Institute, and they were channeling this higher intelligence, this higher consciousness that was saying the knowledge for us to go through this consciousness shift is here. It's all around us, and it's trying to get through to us, but it can't because we're full of our belief systems. Now, if you have a strong belief system, if you believe something is the way it is, it doesn't matter if somebody gives you new information contrary to it, you're not going to believe it, right? So right now what's happening is we can't take this next step up on the evolutionary consciousness ladder until we accept the information, and we can't accept the new information until we get rid of our old belief systems. So what you're seeing right now, especially in America, but spreading across the globe, is the tearing down of the old belief systems, the changing of the guard. By exposing the corruption, the lies, the deceit, the stealing, and the cheating, by exposing all that, it's making people question everything. Question their reality, question their government, question their leaders. And this is good. And as we start questioning this, we'll also start questioning modern science and philosophy. And we'll start questioning, does our brain really create consciousness, or is consciousness fundamental? It just uses the brain as a transducer. We'll start questioning everything. And once we start questioning everything, it opens up room and space for new knowledge and new downloads. And when this happens, we'll have this collective awakening, because across the board, people will start saying, hey, what if we're more than our physical bodies? What if consciousness is eternal and fundamental? What if there's a reincarnation process and this isn't everything? What if? And they start going down that path. When that happens, it springs this new consciousness into reality. We all level up, we all ascend, and we all basically improve and upgrade our quality of consciousness. And this is the shift. When it happens at a mass scale, at a tipping point, then beautiful things happen. I don't know exactly what's going to happen because I haven't been there, but I can feel that we're at the precipice. I can feel it. And I think that the Trump administration serves as a bulldozer, bulldozing all of the old belief systems out of the way to make room for the new. So I'm not in any way saying Trump is going to usher in this new golden age of enlightenment and, higher level of consciousness. What I'm saying is he's clearing the way. He's bulldozing out all the old to make room for the new, and that is step one. That is the most important part, because once that happens, oh my God, it's like springtime, it starts raining, and all the flowers bloom. That's what I think. Let me know what you think. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
Microsoft have just shocked the world after announcing that they have created an entirely new state of matter. Yeah, you heard that right. It's not a solid, liquid, or gas. It's a phase of matter that only exists at the quantum level, called a topological state. So, what the hell is a tech company doing making scientific breakthroughs? One very important reason: quantum computing. Because yes, while we're all currently talking about AI, there's another less spoken about pursuit that would drastically change the world as we know it. And after Microsoft's quantum chip breakthrough, which I'll get into, it now seems more possible than ever. Let me explain. Remember that scene from Endgame when Tony Stark asked Jarvis to run a bunch of different simulations to see if his models would work for time travel? Well, essentially, that's the capability of quantum computers. Currently, if scientists wanted to create, let's say, like a new material that self-heals so that buildings would just fix themselves, or clothes would stitch themselves back together if torn, well, they would have to trial and error their way through the discoveries. They'd mix a bunch of chemicals, test their properties, and hope to find something useful. But this can take years. However, kind of like how Jarvis did with time travel, quantum computers could step in and simulate a bunch of different materials at the atomic level with extreme accuracy, predicting their properties before they even exist. Essentially, they could exponentially speed up that trial and error phase. And that level of problem solving could tackle so many issues we face today. A cure for cancer? Sure. Climate change? Why not? Nuclear fusion?
Damn it. I go around clicking buttons all the time. I was trying to look at something.
For potentially limitless clean energy? Sure. But where the hell does Microsoft come into all of this? Well, they just said that the chip that they created, the Majorana 1, has the potential to hold more computational power than all the combined computational power that exists on the planet. And it fits in the palm of your hand. Yeah. And they were only capable of achieving this because of that new state of matter that we mentioned earlier, the topological state, and it is wild. Now, because Majorana particles hiding quantum information from environmental noise means nothing to you, think of this new state of matter like this. If normal states of matter are like ink on a paper, where a small mistake like smudging it with your hand ruins everything, a topological state is like a tattoo, where even if the skin stretches or moves, the design stays intact. More simply put, this state of matter is more resistant to errors, and this stability could help Microsoft solve the biggest problem we currently face with quantum computing, which is error correction. And while this is a genuine breakthrough, we're not like fully there yet. It's more of a we made the engine moment rather than we just made the entire car and you're ready to go. They would need around 1 million qubits to start solving those real world problems at scale, and currently they've created about 8. But it's still damn impressive. Microsoft have just shocked the world after announcing that they have created.
As you can see, the police were out front of my house at 5:30 this morning. I'm an early riser. I let Pal out around 4:45 in the morning. He goes out, does his business, comes in. I leave the screen door open, but I leave it locked. And I'm in the kitchen making some tea because I love my tea in the morning. And remember, I've only been up 10 minutes now. And Pal starts to growl. And I hear him growling. And the growling's getting a little bit louder. And then he starts to really bark. Like I know something's up. So at this point, I put down, I put my teacup down. And I go towards the door. And as I'm going towards the door,
What
he's
is that?
getting louder and more aggressive, and the hair up on his back is crazy. Then I actually watched this guy knock on my door, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? But, you know, it's
Looks over
4:53
at
in
the
the
camera.
morning at this point. So I know something's up.
Figure said, huh?
I end up
You said
going
what?
and picking something up and for my protection and bringing it to the door. And basically what happens is he walks away before I get to the door. But Pal's still freaking out. He's looking towards the car. I open the door. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? What do you want? He starts to walk back towards me, and I say, that's enough. Stay there. Don't come any closer, or I'm letting my dog out. So he backs up a bit, and he says to me, I need a ride. I said, you're knocking on my door at 5 o'clock in the morning for a ride? I said, buddy, there's cameras all over this house, and if you don't get out of this property right now, I'm letting my dog go. And I'm telling you, you guys, Pal is, I've never seen Pal. This is the worst I've ever seen Pal act since I've owned him. He wanted out that door so bad you wouldn't believe. Anyway, the guy does end up leaving, but I realized that what he had in his hand, if you look closely, almost looks like a sword. I mean, who knows what that guy was up to? All I can say is, thank God for Pal and Pal's instincts. I trust my dog's instincts more than I trust my own instincts. God's honest truth, you guys.
And I was also thinking, when I saw it, to me it looked like, you know, something you'd stick in a door and try to wedge it open. But I don't know. They caught him with a machete sort of thing, then that must be what it was.
This may be proof the elites have secret tunnels all over the world.
Go from New York to Brazil, Buenos Aires, and then Antarctica without ever coming up to the surface for air. And you can do it all at way more than 1,000 miles an hour on magnetic levitation trains, otherwise called maglev.
Hey, Anthony.
One thing he told me, he went from Virginia to Los Angeles in 45 minutes.
I'm doing good, just been sick.
3,000 miles an hour.
The kids were sick, then Vern got sick. I thought I was going to be okay because I take my vitamins, but it's got me.
There are hundreds of thousands of miles of tunnel systems.
This may be proof the elites have secret tunnels all over the world.
Go from New York.
This is a statue of a reptilian in Peru.
Look
yeah,
at
it
those
is.
Feet. Hey, baby.
More accurately, a statue to a reptilian god named Morope. If I pronounce that name right. But it got me to thinking about something. There is a story from 1930s Los Angeles where construction workers who were working in tunnels below this place, Fort Moore Hill. And in those tunnels, the workers claimed to have found living reptilians. Yes, living reptilians. Not reptiles, reptilians. So I decided to look around and see if I could find the news story about that. And guess what? I found it. This is from January of 1934. And the story says, Lizard People Catacomb, City Haunted. Yeah, it's about how the workers were in the catacombs or the underground tunnels and they saw living reptilians. In fact, that news story even published a map that the workers made to explain what they saw. Now, does that mean that reptilians were and are real, living under the earth? No, but these guys saw something and were confident enough in what they saw that they started telling people, to the point that they told the newspapers in Los Angeles about it. The reason I have some belief in this story is that people back then in the 1930s, pre-World War II, didn't make up stories like this that would make them seem crazy. Trust me, people might think you're crazy now for talking about reptilians, but back then, you'd have became an outcast. An outcast. But my question is this. Do you think it's possible that reptilians were or are real? and that there could be a society of them living underground on Earth today. Let me know what you think, Booshkies, in the comment section. Shabadoo!
Shabadoo!
All right, Missouri, let's talk about Potosi. And oh, look, there is a town. In fact, Potosi is a very old small town, founded somewhere between 1760 and 1780 by Francis Azor, a French hunter and explorer from Brittany, France. And legend claims he discovered an outcropping rich with lead while he was chasing a bear down a creek. After the discovery, he started a little mining camp, which drew the attention of Austin Moses from Connecticut. In 1797, he obtained a Spanish land grant and laid the foundations of what would later become the city of Potosi. Potosi is actually the county seat of Washington County. The entire county sits on top of Missouri's old lead belt, which has been mined for centuries, and while in operation provided 80% of the lead in the United States. Most of the people that lived in this entire area right here were old mining families, but as mining decreased and the industry declined, many men lost their jobs, and much of the city of Potosi fell into poverty. And the mining industry also came at another price, which still affects its citizens today. The entire area is part of the Washington County Lead District Superfund sites. In all of these areas right here, there are extremely elevated levels of lead in its soil, groundwater, surface water, and sediment. It even says here that some residents have also unknowingly purchased lead-contaminated gravel for use in landscaping and construction of driveways, parking areas, and playgrounds. What's absolutely wild about this is that kids aren't even routinely tested for lead, even though in 2023, 191 kids under the age of 7 from a neighboring county were tested, and 111 out of that 191 had elevated levels of lead in their blood. And this is very concerning because lead exposure and lead poisoning can cause a host of problems, including slowed physical growth, hearing problems, nervous system damage, learning disabilities, hyperactivity, and other behavioral problems, and decreased intelligence. And this is terrible because it's not the people's fault. But I suspect that this may have a lot to do with the rumors and reputation around the city of Potosi. Rumors of drugs, incest, violence, strange disappearances, and also cannibalism. That for the most part doesn't necessarily center in town, but around a place called Monkey Mountain. Please note that this off-road park is closed, but it's the only way I could pinpoint the mountain. I wanted to find out the truth of these claims. So here's what I found thanks to some very helpful locals. Through the mountain runs County Road 334, what used to be called Monkey Mountain Road, but is now named Simpson Road. And there are families that live along here that have lived here for a very, very long time. But it does appear that there may be a little truth to the interbreeding rumors. But to be fair, many people would be shocked to find out the same is true of their families, because even 100 years ago, marrying your cousin was not that strange. The only difference here is that it has taken place as recently as 30 to 40 years ago. But from what I understand, these families have always been reclusive, especially the main few that has been here since the old mining days. They're pretty isolated, they like to keep to themselves, and they've known to be a little rough on unwelcome visitors who get a little too close. And it is true there is some math activity up here. Some folks do a little shaking and baking, and I'm told that the reports of violence here are very real. However, I'm also told that it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. And looking along the road myself, a lot of these houses are cute, normal looking. Well, there is a few questionable things, like all these blue barrels. It makes me a little nervous. What are these barrels for, and why are they blue like the ones that show up in the rivers? It is also true that the old families here speak their own language, dialect known as Pawpaw French. And if you don't know how to speak it, you are not going to understand it. But as far as the allegations of cannibalism, well, that turns out to be both true and false. They are not eating people on Monkey Mountain. It seems this rumor was born from something that happened a long time ago. Not actually in Potosi or even on Monkey Mountain, but right down the road. According to the stories from the old folks, around the 1930s, there used to be a doctor that lived on Cannon Mines Road, somewhere right between Cannon Mines and the very creepy Blackwell. After the doctor's death, his house was cleaned out and some rather gruesome discoveries were made. They found human parts stored in jars of formaldehyde, and in some jars were entire infants. They found human teeth in the ashes of his wood stove, and meat hooks in his woodshed. And the people of the community came to believe that the doctor ate all the parts that he didn't keep. And to make matters worse, back towards Potosi, right off Monkey Mountain Road, is an old cemetery that at the same time was having a lot of problems with grave robbers. Entire corpses going missing. While it was never proven, the people in town believed it was likely the doctor who was doing the grave robbing and stealing.
Maybe he was doing like Benjamin Franklin and just like, working on him in his basement, trying to figure stuff out. Hard to say.
These people for God knows what. Unfortunately, I do not know the name of the doctor. The ones who remember the story won't say it, because it's long been believed that to speak the name of someone truly evil would conjure their spirit from hell. So I believe the rumors of the cannibals here really comes from that old story, which has mostly been forgotten, but only the whispers remain. So you can rest easy, Washington County. Looks like the only cannibal in Potosi is James Phelps, and he is securely housed at the Potosi Maximum Security Prison. So while there are no cannibals, I have another concern. Please read this. Pause it, read it. Tell me what you think, especially this part down here. Does anybody know anything?
Excuse me. So for those of you that are listening, does anyone else know about the mass trafficking that every single cop is involved with? I feel like no one will believe me, but someone in my family's seen it firsthand, and I've almost been kidnapped multiple times. I don't know if she's going to move or
Anything about a train? Because this sounds real.
And at the bottom, I'm not sure where they're bringing them, but I know there's a train in the Mineral Point. They're putting these girls on this train and getting them out of here. In the meantime, before they do that, there are multiple houses with boarded up windows that they are keeping these girls in, shooting them up with drugs. So they're not even able to run or whatever. Oh man, I'm so afraid for my own safety. There's so much trafficking out there going on. It's crazy.
Familiar to other stories I've heard about other places in Missouri where they are allegedly doing
sneeze.
the exact same thing. So don't worry about the cannibals, but maybe worry about the traffic. All right, Missouri, let's talk about Potosi. Oh, look, there is a town. In fact, Potosi is a very old small town.
Have you ever heard of the Roswell of Texas? Happened in 1897, and this supposed UFO crashed in Aurora, Texas 50 years before Roswell and 5 years before the Wright brothers had a plane. Super duper small town in Texas. But there was one early morning, this rancher and his son, they went out to go herd the cattle, and they heard this loud humming overhead. Multiple witnesses, they just saw this cigar-shaped, metallic-looking UFO go right over them, and they've never seen a flying machine in their life, and so they're like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden they heard like, they saw like a fireball and stuff just exploded. And then when people came across the scene, they report there was a humanoid-like creature that was half the size of a man, and then on the craft there was strange hieroglyphic writings and stuff. But what they ended up doing was, supposedly they took this body and gave him a Christian burial in their graveyard.
No way.
And they put like parts of the craft and put it in the same hole. It wasn't until the 70s where this investigative journalist went out there, and then he went and interviewed all the people that were kids at the time that saw the thing. He's like, it happened. And he asked about, is there anything weird? He's like, ever since that incident happened, on our farm, we've not been able to grow anything. And our family has had just these terrible sicknesses.
No way.
And a lot of doctors compared it to like radiation poisoning.
That's messed up, man. That's so scary.
Have you ever heard of the Roswell of Texas?
Take the phone.
Record while walking through.
Yeah, take this phone.
All right, bye, Darnell.
And that's fine. I'll take this one.
This is the Ghost Dad Paranormal.
Wait, no, I need Darnell. You guys, you guys are going to be
boy
with.
down the hallway.
No, we're on TikTok live here, so you're going to have people here watching you. So guys, what was that?
Oh, that's him.
Okay. Hit record.
I'm recording now.
Are you recording?
Excuse me.
No. Yeah.
Got a frog in my throat.
All right. So walk slow.
Yeah, walk slow.
All the way down to the end of the hall. We're going to close the door, and then go up to the third floor and walk back, and we'll meet you on the third floor.
Bye, Darnell. If I don't come back, I'm dead. So do I just ask any questions or just walk?
Yeah, ask questions, count to 20 in your head as you keep walking, all right?
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I don't know what to ask. So, I think I'm the only one on this hallway. What's your name?
Pudding. Ask me again, I'll say the same.
I don't like that.
Sticky note.
Question. Are you here with me? Or am I just here by myself?
Creepy. I wonder if he feels somebody like following him or what's happening.
Alright. I'm leaving the hallway now. So, you can say bye if you want.
Bye.
Okay.
The phone.
Record while
Only ghosts can do that.
I'm not even going to tell you guys how I got my hands on this photograph. And I will come right out of the gates and say that this photo has kind of been speculated and looked at as though it's a digital creation, that it might not be real. But this is a Phoenix, Arizona Luke Air Force Base photograph, allegedly, that popped up one night on 4chan again. Now, I know that 4chan isn't a legitimate source for any of this information, and fake stuff pops up all the time.
Like a glitch.
But here's where it gets interesting. Within less than a minute of this picture being posted on 4chan with the Joshua trees, the sagebrushes, the mountains, and what was alleged some kind of an alien gray or reptilian standing out in the desert, as soon as this image was posted on 4chan, within less than a minute, the entire website shut down. Like, it actually went offline, which had never really happened before on 4chan. And so it created this whole conspiracy that whatever whistleblower had posted this image onto 4chan had caused the entire website to get shut down. And when the website came back online, you could not find this photo. In fact, it was extremely difficult for me to even find a copy of this thing. But now that it's out there, and I'm just posting it on TikTok right now, it should be pretty easy. Now, it doesn't look that real. It really doesn't look that real. It looks like an old digital creation. It looks like there's like scales photoshopped over the top. And there's a piece of paper photoshopped over there. It's blurry right over here. It doesn't really look like a living thing. It doesn't quite match up with the background. I'll give you that. There's not really a reflection of the cameraman in the eye of the entity. And this purple stuff under here, I don't know. If it's real, it's super freaky, right? If it's not real, it's not that great of a hoax. But here's where it gets interesting. I actually ran this image through AI fake checkers to see if this was an AI generated or a deep fake image. I ran it through 3 different programs, and they all said it's quite confident that no AI was used when producing the image. This one said less than a 7% chance for it to be AI generated or deep fake. This one said it's less than 1%, almost a half of a percent, 0.6% chance. So basically, it's not AI generated. It's definitely not a deep fake. If somebody created this thing, they did it by hand, like in a digital art generator or in Photoshop or something, pretty meticulously. I'm not going to say that this one is real, but I definitely think it's worth posting since I think
he's thirsty and he needs some water.
And I can't sleep. It's almost 4 a.m. and I've been hunting this image down all night, and I finally found it, so I've got to make a video. I'm not even going to tell you.
Kendrick Lamar with the A on his chain with the American flag. This has a deep meaning no one has figured out. A represents Alpha, the beginning of the Greek alphabet. Alpha represents new beginnings. Omega.
Sorry to interrupt. I just shared something on Facebook yesterday that was Kendrick Lamar, and it was when they're like dancing in their white outfits and stuff, and it's to the safety dance. I love how a lot of old songs fit new things, or new songs fit old things. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Omega represents endings because it's the last letter of the Greek alphabet. At the end of the show, it said game over because the old world is now over, and Kendrick Lamar held the ceremony, which is a ritual representing the new beginning of America. This is why the dollar bill has an omega on it, representing the end of fiat currency. This picture is deeply symbolic. Everything they do is code. Elon with the omega representing ending, and him waving goodbye. And Trump, which is the new beginning, the Alpha,
been trying to fight one off.
The new beginning of America, 2024, 24, the 24th letter of the Greek alphabet, Omega.
No! What the hell just happened? Oh, man. For frick's sake. Jeez, oh, Pete. Hey, can you make sure the kids aren't on, like, World of Tanks or anything like that? Okay. All right, thank you. Let me do my... Sorry about that, guys. Jeez, oh, Pete. Make sure that's not echoey. And I don't think we can get back to that other one. And I don't know what we're looking at either. What is it? Yeah, the sound's not working. There we go. So there. Found it. Okay.
You guys listen up. Pay close attention. This is the first time this shit has happened. When I look at this, this is not a reflector. These are not reflector lights. When I tell you this is the first time it has ever done this shit. I have mad video. I let my cameras run all day. It's never done this before. I told y'all the reveal is happening. This should have been my first video, but TikTok would not let me upload for a minute. So I should have posted this one first. The one I should have just posted that says number 1 should have been number 2. Wait till y'all see that third one. I promise you. Listen, if you're new, cameras is going ape shit tonight. If you're new and you're just coming in, I know I messed up on this video.
So Divine Pisces 444.
Don't comment on my shit unless you watch all my videos. Don't.
And then this girl accidentally sat on my hand, like with her butt. And she was only sitting on the foam part, but it kind of looked like I got some. I'm glad you're having such a good time, but it's just too bad that when I'm in the suit, the chicks can't see my face, or I bet they'd like me even more. Yeah, but hit 'em. I just wanted to ask if maybe sometime I could. I'm gonna wear this suit every day until the end of time, Beavis. I will never take it off. Except sometimes I will unzip it so the chicks can see my ciabatta zone. Yeah, I see. Yeah. You see, my ciabatta zone is actually my... I know what your ciabatta zone is, butthead. It's my wiener. And then this girl accidentally sat...
This happened in Germany early this morning. Shooting through the sky, seen by hundreds, maybe some kind of space junk,
SpaceX?
maybe an asteroid. I don't really know.
SpaceX strikes
But it's
again.
not the only thing that was seen shooting through the sky in the last 12 to 24 hours. There was this thing too, and I'm pretty sure it's not Germany. And even if it is, it's not the same time of day. The Germany event happened at night. This happened when the sun was out. Is this just a bunch of space junk coming to Earth? Or is something else entirely happening? Entirely happening. I mean entirely different happening. Now, I don't know, but I got another video of something that looks exactly the same as the Germany one. This just came out of Denmark. That looks a lot like the thing in Germany. A lot, baby cakes. Now, I'm not great at geography, so I had to look this up. Germany and Denmark are so close, those two videos could be the same thing. But the one going over the water with the sun out, that's something else. My question is, do you believe all this stuff is just space junk or asteroids? Or is that just what we're being told? To tell you the truth, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section, Booskies. Shabadoo!
Guy Pearce. I've now read the comments that you made about me, and while I would have preferred...
So Kevin Spacey's back in the media trying to act like he never did
Oh my
anything
gosh,
wrong.
Kevin.
So let me just remind you of a few of the things that he's accused of
he's
doing.
got the chills.
Back in 2017, an actor named Anthony Rapp
I used to like watching
testified
him,
that at a
but
party in
I'm not getting
1986,
good vibes
Kevin
off this
Spacey, who at the time was 27 years old, made a move on him when he was just 14. And when those allegations dropped, so many more followed. There were allegations from a Boston anchor woman named Heather Unruh, who claimed that Kevin Spacey sexually assaulted her own son. Then there was filmmaker Tony Montana, who said that he was left with PTSD for 6 months after Kevin Spacey unexpectedly and without consent grabbed his crotch. There's also actor Robert Cavazos, who came forward and said that he had been touched by Kevin Spacey. And Robert also stated that all the young men that surrounded Spacey knew that at some point they'd probably be harassed by him. Then he was accused of sexual misconduct by 8 different staff members of the show House of Cards he worked on, and at this point the floodgates really opened. Police departments across the world, from the United Kingdom to Los Angeles, California, started looking into past reports about Kevin Spacey. In LA, he was investigated for a sexual assault that allegedly happened in 1992. Then another lawsuit was filed that he assaulted a masseuse at his home in 2016, and I could go on and on and on. But Kevin's had some good luck. A number of the charges against him have been dropped. People have withdrawn their lawsuits, and a number of the people who have come forward to speak about him have died mysterious and sudden deaths. But just because Kevin Spacey has never been actually convicted of one of these crimes, that doesn't mean that he's not guilty of them. This whole thing essentially has boiled down to his word versus theirs. And I'm the type of person that always believes victims, especially when you work like me in exposing pedophile rings and these pedophile predators. You always start out believing the victims and then work backwards. And if there
I feel bad for this guy, Colin Brown, because he's been doing this, I'd say, for the past 6 months, maybe a year, because time for me just flies really fast. I don't know why. Or if it's not moving really fast, it's moving like slow class molasses. People are just really putting him down and talking down to him and everything because he is looking into all this pedophilia stuff, and it's just ridiculous. Why? The only reason I can see people not supporting him on this is because perhaps they are in that category, or perhaps they had something like that happen. But as a kid, had something like that happen to me, and I'm just no, go after him. Somebody needs to. And he's been doing this since he was in high school, so kudos to him.
There wasn't any truth to any of these allegations, why would they have been brought up in the very first place? I mean, there's also the fact that you have to bring up here that Kevin Spacey was known to be friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He's tried to go on shows and deny it, but he's on the flight logs. So yeah, it's horrible because Kevin Spacey is indeed a great actor and he's been in some of my favorite films. But it absolutely sickens me to see people defending him when there is so much evidence of the things that have happened. And we just can't let people like this fool us into thinking that they're completely innocent. I just can't believe that those are some of the comments that I've been reading about Kevin Spacey when it's very, very clear that this guy is a pretty bad dude. And that's saying it very, very lightly.
Guy Pearce.
Cái tay ôi là do.
America is getting out of hand. There is now an app where you...
That was a literal ankle. I'm gonna watch that one more time, sorry.
Cái tay ôi là do.
America is getting out of hand. There is now an app where you can rent high-level personal security like calling an Uber.
That's badass.
Let's say you want to go to the airport. You choose how many bodyguards you want to turn up, how many cars you want them to turn up in. You could choose what they wear, from business to business casual, tactical, and even operator. Oh, imagine you turn up to the airport and you got them dressed like this. And then, similar to Uber, you put in your pickup location, duration of protection, and then bam, they turn up. And the guys protecting you are no joke. They are all either ex-military, ex-law enforcement, or both. And what's ironic is that because this app is starting to go viral on TikTok, you've now got people taking their private security to the mall and getting them to bring them matcha.
Here's everything we did with our bodyguards today.
Bro went from being deployed to Iraq to being deployed to Starbucks. But to be fair, I don't think they care, because it works out at roughly $200 an hour per protector, and they're only available in New York and LA. So the question is, do you guys think this idea is genius or ridiculous?
This story is going to take us to the Ocala National Forest, a very strange
we do security, but we just do it locally. I have a friend who's actually a member of my paranormal group, and he started his own private security firm. So our security firm and his security firm work together, But he does like the whole business suit, like private security thing. So they'll go to California and different places like that. We just stay here because we're homebodies, but pretty badass if he can get away with doing that in smaller areas and not just New York and California. Like that'd be some good income for real. And those guys look like they were having a blast. Okay, let's go. Hello? Are you there?
Place I had to look into deeper. The Ocala National Forest covers nearly 400,000 acres. It was first established in 1908 by Teddy Roosevelt, and it's the oldest national forest in the eastern U.S. It has very diverse terrain and over 600 lakes and rivers, which makes it a really popular destination for swimming and camping and hiking. It is very beautiful in some areas, but despite its beauty and popularity, it's also a pretty dangerous place. And a very strange one. There are so many different legends and stories here that we could talk about it for days. There's a vanishing soldier near Fort King, a phantom monk said to be looking for his killer. It's even said that the forest could be home to the Hat Man, which they call the Dark Man, but don't play with me right now. Just that alone is enough to keep me away. There are also reported sightings of skunk apes. It's Bigfoot. And there's the legend of the Coyote Woman, who is said to have been so brokenhearted that she took her own life and was then transformed into a coyote and is said to kill any evil-spirited people she runs across in the forest. And while I don't know about the Coyote Woman, there is definitely something killing a lot of people in this forest. It's certainly not the evil-spirited that are falling victim. It actually appears quite the opposite. That real evil may be lurking here in the form of human monsters. The amount of people who go missing here or are found dead here is shocking, and it's been happening for a very long time. On October 2nd, 1966, 20-year-old Pamela Nader and 21-year-old Nancy Lichner went for a walk in Alexander Springs, and they were never seen again. It's now believed they may have been victims of the serial killer Gerard Schaefer, the killer cop. On July 22nd, 1976, 12-year-old Dorothy Schofield was abducted from a parking lot in Ocala. She was last seen entering the forest in a car with two men. She's never been found. On April 18th, 1984, the remains of Judy Doe were found, who has now been identified as Rebecca Sue Hill from Arkansas. On July 30th, 1990, 50-year-old truck driver Troy Burris from Ocala disappeared and was found 5 days later by two hikers. He was one of the at least 7 victims of Aileen Wuornos, a lady serial killer and prostitute, who claimed to kill the men who picked her up and were less than gentlemanly with her. But some people believe she may have killed them simply for their money. In December 1992, skeletal remains were found near Juniper Springs recreational area. This individual has still never been identified. On February 18th, 1994, 21-year-old Pam Edwards and her brother, 18-year-old John Edwards, were attacked by two men at their campsite. John was killed and Pam was essayed and then tied to a tree, but she managed to escape. In 1998, 6-year-old Kayla was found buried near Alexander Springs, and she was allegedly killed by her own father. In the year 2000, 25-year-old Alicia Eakins was reported missing in St. Augustine. 3 months later, her boyfriend was caught in the act of digging another grave for 16-year-old girl Angela Durling. He was arrested and sentenced to 40 years, but then in 2008, Alicia's body was also found in the forest. He admitted to killing her and also his own father in 1999 and staging it as a suicide. On February 9th, 2005, police were set up and ambushed, and during the gunfight, this officer was killed. On January 4th, 2006, college students Amber Marie Peck and John Parker were camping when a man walked up to them and just shot them. In April 2007, the car of 41-year-old Christine Wiles was found near Wildcat Lake. A pool of her blood was found nearby, but she's never been found. On June 11th, 2008, a woman's torso was found in the forest. Her identified as 61-year-old Robin Lee Upson. This man was later arrested in Texas for this. In 2016, 2 more hikers were killed in a random act of violence. And in 2023, 2 completely...
And this is crazy because all these moitas and stuff are happening in the same place, but by different people. 2 different people. So it's not the same person going after like a certain group of people that look the same or whatever. I wonder what's going on with this place. Like, is it causing people to do this? Or does word get around in a small town or between psychos that this is a good place to go moita people? I don't know. It's hard to say.
Completely unrelated people went missing very close to the same time. On March 1st, David Allen Clark, and on March 11th, 66-year-old Teresa Hartley. Teresa's family is still searching desperately for her. While everywhere has its crime, this is a lot of bodies and is nowhere near a comprehensive list. So what in the world is going on inside this forest? It seems a lot of things. For one, it's remote and very heavily wooded. It's also, as you can see, quite large, which all makes it a good place to hide things or people, especially since there are not nearly enough rangers to regularly patrol it all, which makes it an ideal environment to host a lot of illegal activities. Rangers have found people cooking meth in campers and sitting around campfires, and they bust about 20 labs a year inside the forest. In 2006, 2 such labs exploded in giant fireballs. So there's definitely groups of mathematicians up in there, and some crimes may be attributed to people who have stumbled across them. It's also said that every year between roughly January and March that a group called the Rainbow Family descends on Ocala. This group is basically a big old group of hippies. While it's often referred to as a kind of spiritual, intentional community, they're mostly known locally for their wild parties, big festivals, and drug binges. I've read a lot of criticism about them. The trash and mess they leave behind, the increase of ER visits and medical emergencies, and the increase in crime while they're in town. And some people have died at these gatherings. Some of these rainbow people are also rumored to live in the forest full time. And while I believe that they are mostly harmless, as this group is very loosely knit and mostly consists of drifters and hitchhikers, they can make for easy targets. Alongside the rainbow people are the squatters. Estimated that there are about 300 of them that live in the forest full time. While some keep to themselves, authorities believe that some of the others may have formed a kind of gang that completely controls some areas. Some campsites have become completely unsafe, with little groups of these squatters committing various crimes, whether that be robbery, rape, assault, or just public disturbances, like one guy who's often sighted riding around on a bike buck naked in broad daylight. And it's sad to say, but many of the children's camps aren't much safer either. A Boy Scout camp had to be shut down after 2 boys were threatened by a man with a knife. And don't get me started on this camp. It sits on the shore of Deer Lake, a camp for troubled boys, which claims to be, quote, dedicated to helping emotionally disturbed youngsters regain self-control and repair flaws in their character. But there have been allegations of horrific abuse. And in January of the year 2000, this boy, 12-year-old Michael Wiltsey, was sent there by court order after a juvenile arrest. He arrived there in late January, and then on February 4th, Michael was killed by a camp counselor by being forcefully restrained and sat on for over 15 minutes, and this counselor weighed over 300 pounds. Michael weighed 65. Please don't ever willingly send your kids to one of these camps. I also found it interesting that this camp is run by Clearwater-based Eckerd Youth Alternatives, which was founded by Jack and Ruth Eckerd in 1968, and they have programs for kids in 8 states. They're also high-ranking members of the Church of Scientology, which, by the way, has taken over the entire city of Clearwater. This was a hostile takeover. You've never looked into that, you should, because I know some people don't want to believe this, but this is a cult and a dangerous one. Make no mistake about it. So it appears that alongside the math makers and dealers, rainbow hippies, some squatters, multiple serial killers, cult-ran children's camps, the Ocala National Forest has also been a refuge for various fugitives, such as Ohio's Matthew Rutter, who was found hiding there in 2023. And just a few days ago, on January 28th, 2025, one of FBI's most wanted, Donald Eugene Fields II, was also just caught there. He was wanted for in Missouri and has been on the run from Franklin County since 2022. And there's also rumors that somewhere in the forest there's a compound of survivalist types, maybe a militia of sorts who are prepping for the end of the world. I don't know, hiding weapons out there or something. Who knows? Either way, that is quite a lot of activity in the same place. And the forest rangers themselves have called the Ocala National Forest the Wild West of the New Millennium. But I saw someone else call it the Ozarks of Florida. And I could not agree with that statement more. Want to hear a story?
Yeah, that's creepy.
How many guys know?
All right. We're past our first music break, but that's okay. It's all right. Yeah, right. All right. So on this break, we have Gravity from Krakow, Poland, and they're going to be singing Throw You Away and Take a Walk in My Shoes. And then we have Fred Johnson III from Canyon County, California with Sugar. And we also have Mr. Jeff Hilliard from Los Angeles, California with Abandoned. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
down the street, thinking all the things you said you need. Why don't you tell me, baby, how do you feel? As I walk down the street, thinking all the things you said you need. Why don't you tell me, baby, how do you feel? Don't you take a walk? Why don't you take a walk? In my shoes, why don't you take a walk? Before you tell me what to do, why don't you take a walk? Why don't you take a walk? In my shoes, why don't you take a walk? Before you tell me what to do. No, it's easy, you tell me what to do. Have you ever stopped to think all the things that I've been through? No, it's easy, you tell me what to do. Have you ever stopped to think all the things that I've been through? Don't you take a walk? Don't you take a walk? In my shoes, don't you, baby, take a walk? Before you tell me what to do, don't you take a walk? Don't you take a walk? In my shoes, don't you, baby, take a walk? Before you tell me what to do. Before you tell me what to do.
That was Mr. Jeff Hilliard with Abandoned. I love his music, even though it's like satirical, it's all satire, whatnot. It's hilarious. I find it so funny. And he's out there in LA and other places winning awards, not just for his music, but for his videos. It's pretty badass. But let's get back to it, shall we? Shall we? Alrighty. Oh, Stranger Things. I got that poster right there. Check it out. I'm waiting for another season.
Know that
Want to hear?
How many guys know that Stranger Things is a documentary, right? By a sign of likes or hearts or whatever. Especially season 1. You know this is a documentary, right? Like, you know how many government secrets are literally released in this TV show?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking specifically about this one right here. Ever heard of it? Well, you can check it all out on Wikipedia. It's all there. Plus, you don't want to miss the bottom of the article on Wikipedia. And last but not least, on the CIA government official website, according to the Freedom of Information Act, there is a giant bunch of information you can scroll and read forever and zoom in that's all about what happened during these experiments. And you should do yourself a favor, bookmark this video, and go into this rabbit hole. And ask yourself, How many guys know that Stranger Things is a documentary, right?
Okay, I just wanted to pause really quick and check out this page name. Dark Predictions. Alright, I'm gonna write that down. Right. Okay. Let's get back to it.
Have you ever wondered why the love we feel for our pets often feels deeper, purer, and stronger than the love we feel for most people?
They deceive the living dog.
Have you ever wondered?
Okay, so generally pause is the space bar, but for some reason for the last, I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks, it takes you on to the next one, which is weird. But I was just going to say, I think it's because their love and their loyalty and stuff to us is boundless. So I kind of reciprocate. Some people not, but animals are amazing. I even love my chickens. They're so cool.
Wondered why the love we feel for our pets often feels deeper, purer, and stronger than the love we feel for most people? Well, it's simple. Animals love without conditions. They don't care about our past, our mistakes, our failures. They don't judge the way we look, how much money we have, or how successful we are. They only care about how you make them feel safe, loved, and cared for. People can be complicated. Love from humans often comes with expectations and conditions, and sometimes even betrayal. But our pets, they stay, they love us through every mood, breakdown, and dark moment. They sense our emotions in ways no person ever could. They know when we are hurting.
Look at him go!
Even when we force a smile.
Tracking a rabbit?
They sit beside us in silence, asking for nothing in return. No advice, no judgment, just
whack the dog.
And maybe that's why it hurts so much when they're gone. Because they were that one constant in a world of uncertainty. They were the ones who loved us at our worst in ways people never could. So yes, maybe we love our pets more than people, because their love is the kind of love we all crave. Pure, loyal, and without limits.
They deceive the living dog water out of you guys. Look, they tell you that light bends and it lifts an object up to where it appears higher than it really is. Is that what's happening here? They'll tell you that, but they're liars. That's not even at all what's happening. Look, you can see the line. This is where the water really is. See, you can see in the distance, this little thing.
Yeah.
Look, the water's really right here. It's that a refraction's causing a mirror of the sky. And they tell you the reason you can see Chicago from across Lake Michigan is because of a superior mirage called a Fata Morgana is taking place. But then you see Chicago during an actual Fata Morgana, and it looks like this. When they say it's curvature, there's all this distortion, and it looks terrible. When they say it's refraction, it's crystal clear. They'll tell you, oh, the reason you can see Chicago is because light is bending in such a way that it's a mirage. It's distortion in the atmosphere. Then you take a closer look, and it's crisp. Like, look how crisp it is.
Yeah.
You know, besides maybe some wave obstruction and
looking digitized or nothing
stuff, but that is like sharp. And then this one, they'll say, oh, it's a clear day. That's why you're seeing the obstruction of the Earth. Telling you it's Earth curve, then you get up close and you see the atmospheric compression, the distortion, the mirage. It's like, okay, come on, guys. When you say it's a mirage, it's crystal clear. When you say it's a clear day and it's Earth curve, it's all distorted and compressed and miragey. So, are you just flipping the script on us? Back to the boat. I've heard modern science say that that's a superior mirage, that it's lifting the boat up, that's light bending it up, and that's the actual water line.
You're using your mind, man.
We can zoom in and actually see the freaking water line.
Yeah, you can see the line there, dude.
Cities in the background and whatever. And see that it's just a mirage. That's mirroring the sky, so it blends with the sky. They deceived the living dog water out.
This video is absolutely spooky, and it's
so this is the paranormal chick, and she is badass.
Actually coming from a surgeon who was doing a tutorial video for her students. This is not the type of content she ever posts as far as paranormal scary. But she had to post this one. In the area that she was working, there's always been rumors that it's haunted, that corridor, those rooms are haunted, and people actually don't like to go back there. She didn't believe it until this. There was something watching her, and at the very end of the video, she captures it. Take a look at this. Tell me what you think.
The difference is, I'm so sorry, my brain. Okay, here we go. Back. Last anywhere from 60 to 90 days.
Did you hear that shuffling around? Ooh. Telling you. Hospitals are so freaking creepy. Even new ones. Like the old hospital here. Even my kids were like, my 1-year-old's like, there's people reaching out of the walls and floors trying to grab me. The new one, including the nursing home that was down the street, that was donated by...
I'm tearing up right now. I saw it.
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it. Can you please just show yourself?
I wonder if somebody passed in there. Had a heart attack or something. It could be the one where the chick passed and she was in front of the door so they couldn't get in forever. And they finally did. They found her with a heart attack on the floor. Eek. Eek hole.
Just give me a sign.
Ooh, I wonder if it left her a message.
Do whatever you want.
Don't say that. it's when she gets back to her phone. Is this a hair dryer or what? Or a okay. What the crack? Is that a surgery room? Surgery rooms are very haunted too. What was it? What was it? Sorry, I gotta go back. Well, right here. What? Did you see anything?
We talked about this meteor a couple months ago. The meteor is called 2024 YR4. It's the size of the Statue of Liberty.
300 feet.
And the percentage of it hitting Earth was like 1%. But in the past couple of weeks,
then it goes down.
NASA has come out and said those chances have now doubled. They're calling it the city killer. They said it would be 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb that was dropped in Hiroshima.
But if it hits the ocean, the waves from that,
humongous tsunamis.
Yeah, like
will affect a lot more people.
They're obviously more concerned about it than they're letting on. They're allowing any astronomer
As
who
usual.
have access to the James Webb Telescope to observe it to make better predictions.
Yeah. So there's gonna be like shrapnel and like other things that come off this, right? If
Shrapnel.
it were to hit Earth, like it would actually like kind of.
It's not that big. It's basically just like it would destroy a city and
It's
cause
not
earthquakes.
shrapnel. It's
And
shrapnel.
I forgot to mention that part.
You'd be the worst newscaster ever.
Guys, wait,
no,
no.
it's gonna be fine. There will be earthquakes.
It won't destroy the Earth, but it'll be like not good.
You can
I
change the
love
channel.
butterflies and
Wait a
ninjas.
second, wait, I forgot something.
Ninjas are butterflies.
We talked about this meteor a couple months ago. The meteor is called.
It's funny. I actually had a dream that they were my neighbors. It was funny. So funny.
Don't know what this was. It goes from the right to the left, and then it sat there for a second. Well, no, it sat there for after it got there. It just sat there.
Is it here? Where is it?
Rewind it. It just goes across the stream.
There it is.
And then it just sits there.
Wow. There was so much UFO activity.
And you hear the reporter says
This last California fires, it was crazy.
something about a fireball. She goes, is that a fireball? That was a fireball or something. It wasn't a fireball. They're way far away from the fire. And if it was something from the fire, it wouldn't have stopped. And whatever that is stopped. And sat there. I have no clue.
No, there was orb ones that were flying in and out of the fire. Like, it was crazy. Crazy. What the heck,
And I
dude?
stopped it right after I saw that. So I didn't get the reporter, but she goes, right after that, she goes, oh my God, there's a fireball. It's way too far away from the fire to be coming from there. And then if it was an ember or whatever, they don't stop. They would keep going, moving in the wind.
Okay.
If you guys haven't heard this guy, freaking look him up. So, Nightly Disclosure, spelled like a knight in shining armor. Yes. But yeah, this guy is very intelligent, very on point, and on top of things. Like when things happen and things come out, go check this guy out, because he knows what's going on.
I tried to do a live session on this last night and I got very quickly blocked. At the moment, I don't know what the hell is going on, but TikTok is really coming after me. I don't know why. But
guess what? Okay, so when Trump got into office and he was talking to the side, and maybe perhaps someone over here will be purchasing this app that's American, and then you hear what's his name? From Facebook and Meta. Anyways, you hear him say, you know, responding to him. So basically, the guy that runs Facebook and not Pinterest, Instagram and Messenger and Meta and Mark Zuckerberg. Which is Zuckerberg, but he sucks. So, yeah. And even like right before he purchased it, he went on and did a video saying, you know, what they did before was wrong. They were told by the government to do it, yada, yada, yada. They were way too hard on people. But still, here, they're doing it on TikTok. All right, let's go.
This is what I was trying to get out last night in a live quite urgently, but this is pretty substantial. So we know who Jake Barber is, we know who the Skywatcher team are, and we know what their intentions are and what they're trying to do. What we didn't know is who the client was. But thanks to Danny Sheehan, who's the president of the New Paradigm Institute, thank you, sir, we now know. Jake Barber is hired by Northrop Grumman. Right, so to put some context into this, I did a video about who I think is primarily responsible or who is holding most of the cards for this stuff, okay? And I said it was Lockheed Martin at the very top, Lockheed Skunk Works specifically, a separate department, and Northrop Grumman coming in the very close second, followed by a bunch of others. But the fact that we now know that Jake Barber is, I guess, is still hired by Northrop Grumman is a substantial claim. Now, of course, this is allegedly. I don't know if he's going to confirm that, but he kind of gave it away in the podcast when he was talking to Jesse Michaels. He said, if you made two guesses, both guesses would probably be right. So he kind of gave it away then. But now we've actually got verbal confirmation from Danny Sheehan on this, on the podcast he just did the other day called That UFO Podcast, which was posted on the 18th of February, which is a few days ago now. Wow. Okay. So they're not really doing themselves any favors by keeping this under wraps, are they? Because now we know. And as I said, I hypothesized this stuff, but it's good to hear it from somebody that's very well entrenched in this stuff and knows what's going on, in the form of Danny Sheehan from the New Paradigm Institute. So, you know, that being said, giving them a plug, please follow them on TikTok. They're very active. They do a lot of stuff out on there, and they're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes with whistleblowers and all sorts of things. So, you know, show them some support, please. But yeah, that's it for now, guys. You heard it first from DK, and I'll see you on the next one.
UFO whistleblower Jacob Barber has come out and said that not only was he part of UFO crash recovery programs for secret operations, but that as a part of that, they had psychic assets that were doing remote viewing to telepathically communicate with the UFOs and bring them down to land or either crash them. And then these Delta Force and Green Beret operators would go in and capture them. And he said that along with that also, they used technology, some kind of frequencies, and also the telepaths would listen to audio music in certain tones and frequencies to align his consciousness. But basically they would project sound, or they had some kind of a technology. You see these computers all laid out with sensors and everything in this video clip for Skywatcher. And there is the remote viewer doing the remote viewing experiment to try and make contact. But this whole idea of using technology to do that has origins. Now, whether you like him or not, Daryl Anka, who goes by Bashar or channels Bashar, he says that this is an interdimensional being that he is channeling and communicating through. In a recent podcast, he was asked about Skinwalker Ranch, and he says that Skinwalker Ranch could be a place of first contact because of this specific frequency. And then we're going to go down the rabbit hole. But check this out.
You've mentioned that Skinwalker Ranch in Utah is a possible location for first open contact.
Yes.
In regards to their research there, can you tell us the origin and or purpose of the 1.6 gigahertz signal that the scientists there frequently encounter?
Yes. This is a communication signal that is also of the correct frequency to open portals. In one particular episode of that particular program, as they broadcast that signal out, they received an echo reflection, which they could not understand where it was coming from. But that is the signal that the portal is open. So when you broadcast it and receive the
See what he's doing? And did you see what the guy was doing in the video, in this video, prior to this guy coming on? Wearing blindfold. He's closing his eyes. Did you notice when Tony Gauzy was on? When he was getting input or whatever from the manted persons or wherever he was getting it, he'd close his eyes. I think it's because, which it really doesn't matter what I think, but when you close your eyes or you close certain things off, other parts of us are opened up to gain information. But yeah, I just had to mention that really quick because I just noticed that, and I've noticed that with other people too. I often do that as well. So.
Reflectional echo, you know that you have opened the portal. That's the significance of it and why that particular frequency is used for space communication as well. It is in alignment with the idea of communication into higher dimensional realms. So, intuitively, your scientists have figured this out, whether they understand it completely or not. But in the demonstration they gave where they broadcast that signal and got the echo reflection from seemingly everywhere and nowhere, that was an indication that they had actually opened the portal. Had someone been in a position to actually walk through the portal at that moment, they would have vanished.
So I've been to Skinwalker Ranch and the headquarters and inside the headquarters a few different times, and then done a lot of research around that whole region, including ancient petroglyphs and stuff like that. I may have even handled some of the metamaterials allegedly inside the headquarters there. But even with the team out exploring for petroglyphs and all that kind of stuff on the ranch, and in our conversations as a team doing all of this, there has been a lot of talk about these frequencies and searching the electromagnetic field, the electromagnetic spectrum for these types of anomalies and gamma radiation and all kinds of stuff like that. In our research, we've gone out all over the place to look for these types of anomalies. And as a part of my independent research working with the Skinwalker Ranch team, I made friends with the whistleblower, and we uncovered this other property in Nevada that Robert Bigelow also owned at the exact same time as owning Skinwalker Ranch before Brandon Fugel. And there's a picture that was given to us with him, Jacques Vallée, Hal Puthoff, and scientist Dr. Tim Ryan. Those of you that know who all of these are, this is pretty mind-blowing to see all of these guys together at this specific spot in 1996.
I had to take a picture of that.
So this is like another Skinwalker Ranch. And part of the discoveries that we made there are connected directly to the research at Skinwalker Ranch. So this is Brandon Fugel, Eric Bard, Eric Davis,
outside of Cortez, Colorado.
These are the who's who behind UFO disclosure and a whole lot of the science and the research that Bashar is talking about in that interview. And so part of the thing that we did was I started looking into the background, the science, and the patents behind each of these scientists and researchers that were at Mount Wilson and Skinwalker. And Tim Ryan was really big into this ultra low frequency, almost this noise cancellation, ground penetrating radar technology. And he had a lot of funding into that research and technology. So what we did was we found some of Bob Bigelow's old equipment, and then we started looking at all these photographs, and we realized there were some of these photos where the scientific team had appeared to have these overhead satellite images of something underground. So we started looking for frequencies that were coming from
looks like a freaking pyramid
inside the mountain, which is all stuff that you hear about coming out in the UFO crash recovery teams with Jacob Barber now. So then we triangulated all of this, and we figured out that maybe it was down here in this photo where you see Bigelow, Jacques Vallée, and Hal Puthoff in this lower meadow where they were looking for something underground and even buried a tractor and got it stuck there digging underground. So what we did was we found some of Bigelow's old equipment.
She got an excavator.
And we formed a team with the group at Skinwalker Ranch, and we did a whole spin-off.
Sorry, my eyes are dry now. My nose is running and my eyes are dry.
And we filmed 2 whole seasons. We even went and replicated some research with Chris Bledsoe and other people, just like we did in Nevada here with EEGs. But then ultimately, we formed a team, and they brought in advanced equipment, and we paired it up with the old Bigelow equipment, and we explored
this ultra low spectrum. And we discovered that 1.6 gigahertz range, and we found that echo, that resonance, that sympathetic resonance. And it was so fascinating because we set up all this equipment. We started to project this ultra low frequency out into the atmosphere and into the ground. And whatever was buried underground actually duplicated and copied our signal and then resonated it back to us. And then when we tried to change the signal, sometimes before we could even touch the iPad and the controls to change the signal, it would change to the signal we were thinking about, like whatever was underground could read our minds. It messed up our GPS. It did a whole bunch of stuff.
It's telepathy, being telepathic. That's like, okay, so when I'm talking about a member of your family has passed, you talk to them in your head a lot, or you think about them a lot. Last weekend, when we had Chris Garcia on, we were talking about talking to the dead, like people of your family that have passed. You can talk to them out loud, they'll hear you. You can talk to them telepathically, and they'll hear you. That's a thing. And I've communicated telepathically with a creepy ass thing that I don't even know what the crack it is, and I'm constantly in my husband's head, but pretty damn ass trippy. We can do this. We just haven't been taught. We've been dumbed down by our government. It's freaking ridiculous.
It was really crazy. Check out this next part too.
The Egyptian gods never existed. They symbolize the different body parts of your body. Anubis represents the tongue. He's a dog with the barking because the power of life and death is in the tongue. Falcon of Horus is the inner brainstem. Osiris, the god of death and the underworld. He represents the reptilian brain, hence why he's green and has reptiles next to him. The reptilian brain is when our consciousness exists in death because we don't think. Horus with the circle on his head represents the limbic system in the brain. Amun-Ra is the hippocampus in the brain. Ra is where we get RAM. Computer has a RAM for memory, and the hippocampus in the brain is all to do with memory. This is the Lamb of God. Thoth, the god of wisdom, the one who preserves the ancient wisdom. Ibis bird is the sternum, which is the chest, which contains the treasure, which is our soul, our heart. Our heart contains the sacred knowledge.
Like when I hear this guy talk, like, wow, that doesn't make sense, but it does. Just so trippy, and he goes through it so quickly, which, cool. I'd have to listen to it several times to see it, but man, just the shape of things, oy, it's tripping me out, seriously.
Sternum protects the heart, the treasure. He preserves the wisdom. The Ankh is the portal into the physical world, the uterus. The Bible even tells you that animals are deeply symbolic. Job 12:7. Ask the beasts of the field and they will teach you, the birds of heaven and they will tell you. Because each animal represents a part of the human experience. Snakes represent the wave of energy. The Egyptians saw each body part had a specific role in the human experience. And these parts of our body are very sacred. If you want to learn more, then read the Book of Wisdom, Volume 2. The Egyptian god...
It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense.
This isn't my typical content that I post to TikTok, but it's important that I show you this video.
To know they sound kind of like Tom Hanks, but not... This is the Ghost Dad Paranormal.
This is the room that we capture that compelling spirit box session in, where the young man took his own life. We had set up several EMF detectors, including this millimeter with REM pod, which you see all the way to the left.
Those are so hard, and my most recent paranormal investigation was at a place like that. A place that I had driven over so many times and never knew. Lots of people have done the same thing there, but ooh, it's giving me the chills again right now. But it was funny. Just have all kinds of equipment. I'm allowing them to use it. I'm using it. We're picking up on so much stuff, but what you get in your head, like, look over there. I look over there. I see these little, other things you can put in your vase that you get at Walmart. They're like those little glass baubles, and they have that iridescent looking stuff on top of it. I'm like, oh, look. And I grabbed it out of the creek and I showed it to Cheyenne, and she just bust out crying. I'm like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? She's like, those are his. Like, I have the other half of that, and these are his. I looked more and more and more. I found at least 20. So he had half the bag, he had the other half, but just listen to your gut. Listen to your instincts. You'll find stuff. But yeah, it's really, really sad, really hard. But if you know somebody that's done that, please don't think that they go to hell or Hades or whatever the crack. There's a special place in heaven for tormented souls, and life is hard. I wouldn't be surprised if we're in purgatory right now, trying to get to heaven. But, anyways, let's continue.
These things have been quiet the entire night until we stepped into this room. So we have a millimeter with rim, and then we have 2 actual rim pods set on either side of the room. And this is what we captured. Check this out. This is pretty significant. Can you make both of those go green, please?
Yeah, we're getting that too on the REM pod. EMF detector. I got my big ghost box thing to work.
Thank you.
That's sad. It's my nephew.
So I want to know if I'm communicating with the person who that did what they did in this room.
Yeah.
Can you make that go all the way green? If this is the person that is stuck in this space, look it, dude. Look. Look. Look.
Seriously.
Look. Holy smokes. Do you need help? If you need help and you need help moving on, make it go blue. Holy crap, dude.
Yeah, they're like, scream out, trying to tell you. Like,
Holy
that's why
crap.
it's like that. Ugh.
If you want us to go get somebody to help you, I need you to make it stop. Can you make it stop? I don't think he needs it to stop, bro.
No.
He's needing
Help him how?
He's trapped here. This isn't my typical content that I post to TikTok, but it's important that I show you this video. This is the room that we capture that compelling spirit.
Have you ever stopped?
Well, Aunt Colette, I'll tell you my message after she goes on with what she's saying. Hopefully she's not so long-winded as last time, but even so, if she is, she does really good. But I just want to let you guys know, if you have any thoughts of self-harm or leaving this world in an unnatural way, you can dial 988 or go to 988lifeline.org or dial 988. Or me. Get a hold of me, and I'll try to help if I can.
Often really thought about it. Giants played such a massive, huge, no pun intended, role in our biblical world for years, for a very long time, because there were giants in those days, and also after that. Yo, I mean, the giants.
My dad was a giant.
Were such a major part in our history, and here for so long. Well, gosh golly. God had to flood the entire world.
Peepers. Where'd you?
So why is it?
Creepers.
No, why is it they are only mentioned little less than a handful of times in that Bible? It's almost as if somebody evil, somebody with the influence over man, evil man, power-hungry man, money-hungry man. Well, it's almost as if somebody very evil may have had some sort of control over said men. And same said men, got their fingers in a certain book, started ripping pages out and realized, no, that's not enough. Let's take out entire books. Everything. Anything and everything that has anything to do with the giants. And then we'll tell the world, don't believe that. We'll discredit it, and we shall call it the Apocrypha. Don't worry, it means hidden books, but they won't catch on to that. So why is it the Nephilim, the giants? Once again, there were giants in those days, and also after that, those same ones that played such a massive role in our history, in our biblical history. And spoiler alert, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be with the coming of the Son of Man. Sounds as though those giants that are there in the days after, well, they just might play a massive role then too. So why is it we've only got, 4 verses about giants in that Bible? Well, now if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will. Boy, I wouldn't want to be those people. The people, you know who they are. You know who they were. And so did God, because he mentioned it right at the very end of that Bible. The last thing he said. And to those who take away from this book, I shall take away from your life. And those who add to this book, I shall add to your life. I just think it's...
Oh, sorry. I have a really bad cold, but I know within my heart things have been added, things have been omitted, aka taken away. Ugh. And they continue to do it today. You know who they are.
I think it's funny. People really give the devil way too much credit. I mean, really. Why would he let us know or learn or understand anything about the giants when that entire Bible, that book, it has everything to do with him, but it was so craftily rewritten. Well, now it has nothing to do with him at all. That's strange. I hope that makes you understand the importance of the Apocrypha. I mean, why would they take out something unless it was something vital for us to know? There were giants in those days, and also after that. In my opinion, if you want to know what is the most important to know about that,
it's not just about the giants. There's so many other things they've taken out. So many other things they've added.
Bible, look at everything, and I mean everything that they removed. At least
and
in my
added.
opinion, that's a really good place to start. It's almost like the director or the editor cut all of the scenes from the main character right before production.
And also, if you do decide to read the Bible, pray or ask your Father in heaven or your Heavenly Father or whatever you'd like to call him for the gift of discernment. So when you do read this book or scrolls or whatever you're reading from, you can have the gift of discernment. Very important.
Edited them out one by one and hid the absolute main characters from the entire world. Just a thought. They were the reason God flooded this earth. And we get 3 or 4 verses about them in that book.
They're still here.
Okay. Oh, and spoiler alert.
Not all of them, but several of them.
The days,
and they're hiding.
They've got main character roles in that time too. But the devil does not want you to know that. I love you so big.
Want to hear a story? This story is going to...
Yeah, I do, and I'm hoping it's not. Oh my gosh, this is close to... Oh my gosh, this is close to me. San Juan Mountains. Holy shnikes. This... Okay, right over here. I'm in this area. Right here. I used to live in this area over here. Now I live in this area over here. And I work in this area over here and over here. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the San Juan Mountains are trippy. Anyways, we got to go to our second music break. And on this break, we have Gravity from Krakow, Poland. And they are going to be singing. Let me pull it up real quick. My Last Goodbye. Then we have Dan Medina, who was a member of this band, but, just like Justin Timberlake, he separated himself and he's singing I Won't Let You Go, which is a good song too. And then we have Mr. Fred Johnson III from Canyon County, California with After Dark. I love his music. I love it. And another one that I love, man, all these guys are awesome, but Mr. Jeff Hilliard from Los Angeles, California with Consensual Van. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Let me take you far away from all this huff and puff. There will be nothing in between our love, like a pair of doves flying high above, where nothing can touch us, touching softly. Don't let me go, I won't let you go. This is eternity with me, baby. Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? You don't have to be magic, healthy laughter, boundaries, space, ongoing mutual consent, passion, happily we'll be bearing our souls, naked by the sea. We'll breathe the clean air. We'll be living, laughing, loving forever. Baby, do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? You don't have to be alone anymore. We will be together forever in love. Do you wanna go for a ride? Do you wanna go in my consensual? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Just get in the van. you see? Anything I do, you say you can save me. So why don't you try? No matter what you tell me, tonight I'm gonna say my last goodbye. Oh. You say you can save me, so why don't you try? No matter what you tell me, tonight I'm gonna say my last goodbye. Oh. My last goodbye. Things can't be unsaid. Streets of these are going to dead end. Listening to waves on windy days, standing by the wall, making sense of it all. So alone in the dark, all alone in the dark. All alone in the dark, you're alone in the dark. 'Cause I won't let you go. You're so far away, always with my soul. I won't let you go. Oh, you're so far away, always with me in my soul. Yeah, yeah. Looking for a reason, not a lead. Mystified, lives inside a world selling us all. Oh, she's alone in the dark, all alone in the dark, all alone in the dark, so alone in the dark. 'Cause I won't let you go. I won't let you go. You're so far away, always with me in my soul. Yeah, yeah. And I won't let you go. the perfect date, yeah. Living at the dark, I search lonely streets to find hidden shadows in the dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Secret homicides arranged in a series of pursuits. No matter what I say, after dark, I gave her base because she had the range. I knew she was the one that never could go home again. Plastic lights by limo seats. I don't know why I can't control this urge to hurt again. Yeah, living at the dark, I search lonely streets to find hidden shadows in the dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Change the sinister, murder forever after. No matter what I say, after dark. Really meant to return to me. Hiding place with days of December. Concerning works furnished in the midnight. It doesn't matter what I say. It really doesn't. No matter what I say, after dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Secret homicides arranged in a series of pursuits. No matter what I say, change in the stuff, murder forever after. It doesn't matter what I say. Brooding fatal, lacking the hint of conscience. No matter what I say, after dark.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Oh, I was going to do something, but I forgot to do. I'll drop the damn bowl. Yeah, I know. Anyways, let's get back to all trippy TikToks. And we're going to be listening to Miss Amber Bowden Vance. And she's got a lot of good things about the South, but she's in my neck of the woods right now, so I'm pretty excited to see what she's going to say.
And take us to the San. Want to hear a story? This story is going to take us to the San Juan Mountains and the story of the Colorado cannibal. Alfred Packer was born in January 1842 in Pennsylvania. At the outbreak of the Civil War, he enlisted in the Union Army, but he was discharged because of seizures due to his epilepsy. After his second attempt to enlist and his second discharge, he moved west to join the ranks of hopeful prospectors seeking their fortune in the gold rush. He worked a variety of odd jobs as well, but he never kept any of them for long because of his health issues, but also because of his general bad attitude, along with a slight history of theft. He also didn't see much success from his mining, so by 1873 he was supplementing his income by working as a guide through the wilderness of Utah and Colorado, though it was generally agreed by those who knew him that he didn't make a very good one because he was prone to getting lost. But in November 1873, a group of 21 men set out from Utah to travel to the San Juan Mountains. Word had spread that gold was found there, so the party's leader gathered some men together who were all mostly strangers to each other to go out and find it. The group was headed to Breckenridge, Colorado, and near Provo, the party encountered 31-year-old Alfred Packer, who offered his services as a guide, and they needed a guide, so they allowed Alfred to join the group. Because he had no supplies and no provisions with him, he actually paid $25 to join in. The group started out, he carried only his pistol. It didn't take long after entering the wilderness for it to become clear that Alfred had greatly exaggerated his qualifications and his knowledge of the Rockies. The group moved very slowly and often had to backtrack, and winter that year moved in hard and fast. As the group moved along the Old Spanish Trail, a heavy snowstorm struck and covered the path, forcing the party to stop often and rely only on a compass. And in no time, Alfred had them all hopelessly lost. Tensions rose, and Alfred became kind of hard to get along with. The men reported him to be lazy, greedy with food, and he argued constantly with another member, Frank Miller. Alfred also seemed oddly obsessed with how much money each man carried, and questioned them often about it, which made them uncomfortable. Their food soon ran out altogether. The men were forced to survive solely on horse feed when they stumbled upon the encampment of Chief Ouray on January 21st, 1874. Chief Ouray was a prominent Ute leader and was known to be a man of peace. He welcomed the freezing, starving men into his camp. He fed and sheltered them and even offered to let them stay throughout the winter, and he warned them strongly against continuing their journey until the spring, saying that they would only encounter increasingly hazardous weather. Despite these warnings, 11 of the 21 men decided to continue on. The chief provided them with food and supplies and directed them to take a path around the mountains to the next outpost at the Los Pinos Indian Agency. However, Alfred, the guide, insisted on taking the shorter, direct route through the mountains. After a big argument, 5 men split off and went the way that the chief told them to, and 6, including Alfred, went up into the mountains. The group set out on February 9th, and it included Alfred, George California Noon, who was a teenager, a rich old dude named Israel Swan, who was said to be carrying thousands in cash, another man named James Humphrey, a red-haired Irishman named Shannon Wilson Bell,
That was a lot back in the day.
the German butcher Frank Miller, the dude Alfred argued with all the time. All of the men carried only 14 days' supply of food, and between all of them only had 2 rifles and a pistol. They also didn't have snowshoes or heavy winter clothing. On April 16th, 1874, 65 days later, over 2 months, Alfred Packer arrived alone at the Los Pinos Agency. Men there, including Indian agent General Charles Adams, this guy right there,
Probably
were eating
looking none the
breakfast when
worse for
Alfred knocked on
wear.
the door begging for food. Told them that he had been traveling with a group of companions, but that they'd gotten lost in a snowstorm, and that they abandoned him after his feet became frozen and he could no longer walk. He said he survived only on roots and rosebuds and the occasional small game. The men sat Alfred down and provided him a meal, which he immediately vomited. He said that his state of prolonged near starvation had probably messed up his digestion, but General Adams noticed that
pure
Alfred
protein
didn't look
diet.
starved. He looked healthy and well fed. In fact, the general noted
Oh,
that he was
dang.
downright fat, especially for
Big
someone who
screen.
had just spent 2 months lost in the mountains. Alfred spent 10 days at the agency before traveling to the nearby town of Swatch? Is that how y'all say that? And Alfred became quite the big spender
Swatch?
there at the saloon. And while he was there, he also had the bad luck of running into a couple of members of the original party, who immediately questioned him about the whereabouts of the others. And Alfred nervously gave them the same story he told at the
He's like-
agency. But these men did not buy that, especially when they noticed that he was carrying some of the possessions of the missing men, and that the satchel he carried that didn't even belong to him was full of cash, when he'd had none at the beginning of their journey. After running into Alfred, the other men contacted General Adams at the agency. It turned out that he'd been quietly inquiring about the missing men at all the other nearby towns and had been unable to find them. So the general sent for Alfred under the guise of needing his help to form a search party, but his real intent was to question him. Alfred arrived back at the agency on May 4th. Here, General Adams sat him down and said point blank, "I believe those men are dead, and you know something about it." Then Alfred broke down in tears and changed his story. This time he claimed that the older man, Israel Swan, who was into his 60s, had been the first to die in the blizzard, and that the rest of them had eaten him in order to survive. He said that about a week later, Humphreys died and was also eaten. And then Frank Miller died in an accident. And then
They're
he
all
had to
part
shoot
of
the
him
last
now.
man in self-defense after Bell tried
Yeah.
to kill him. He admitted to making human jerky and to also taking the men's money and possessions.
What a
He signed
jerk.
off on the written confession on May 8th. He was held at the agency under threat of lynching if he didn't help find the bodies of his companions, so that the officials could find out if his story was true. And Alfred was supposed to lead the men to where he said this happened, but he kept deliberately leading the party astray and pretended to be bewildered and lost. And on the return trip, after stealing a knife and attempting to
Yeah, I'm sure he was
one of the
super
officers while he
bewildered.
slept, Alfred officially became a prisoner and was turned over to the sheriff in town. When he was arrested, people began to whisper that Alfred Packer had led those men into the mountains deliberately in order to rob, kill, and eat them. This belief only grew when, in June, the bodies of the
Bastard.
prospectors were finally found in a hemlock grove near Dead Man's Gulch. It was actually a reporter that found them, and he drew this illustration. The paper reported, quote, 4 of them were lying in a row, each one shot through
He
the
robbed
forehead.
and
Their
ate them.
blankets were still over them, showing conclusively that they had been killed while sleeping. The 5th man, Bell, was laying some distance away with his head cut off. Signs of a struggle appeared, and it was evident that he'd fought desperately for his life. Most of the flesh was cut from Bell's body, but the others were not mutilated as badly, which proved the party was not out of provisions when killed and that Packer had killed all of them. They also found the shanty where Alfred had stayed nearby, with a well-worn path leading from the shelter to Bell's body and back. But while this discovery is being made back in town, Alfred had managed to escape from his jail cell and disappeared. He was finally found 9 years later near Fort Fetterman,
like a
Wyoming,
warlock or
where
something?
he was going by the name John Schwartz and working as a miner. He was transported by train back to Denver, where 100 people gathered.
Let me take your hand if you want to live.
And he arrived on March 16th, 1883, and General Adams was there waiting for him. There, Alfred Packer changed his story for the 3rd time. This time he confessed that the 5 men hadn't gradually died along the way, that they had been murdered. But of course, not by him, though. He claimed the party had all made it to Dead Man's Gulch. And while the others set up camp, he took one of the rifles to go try to hunt some food, and to also find the highest vantage point so that he could try to figure out which way to go from there. He claimed he was gone most of the day. When he returned, he saw 4 of his companions lined up in a row, dead in their blankets, and Wilson Bell sitting by the campfire, roasting the leg of Frank Miller. He claimed that when Bell noticed he returned, he ran at him with a hatchet, attacking him, and that Alfred shot him in self-defense, and that because he was stuck in the camp, in the snow, with no other food, he'd been forced to survive off their bodies. He told the story again at his trial in Lake City, but the jury didn't believe him, and Alfred Packer, the now convicted cannibal, was sentenced to hang. However, he was later spared the death penalty by some technicality of law, so he was retried and sentenced to 40 years, which he began serving in 1886. By this time, the story of Colorado's cannibal had spread far and wide in the newspapers, and a young barber in Denver named Duane Hatch recognized the picture of Alfred Packer as a man who had become his friend and benefactor when he was a teenager, a stranger at the time that he'd encountered, and Alfred had invited him to join his camp and helped him find a job at a cattle ranch. He remembered Alfred to be nothing like the cold-blooded killer he was depicted as in the newspaper, so he reached out to Alfred in prison, and they renewed their friendship. This man ended up hiring a team of very expensive lawyers, seeking a pardon for Alfred.
I should have you for dinner.
By a Denver Post reporter named Polly Pry, who advocated for Alfred's release. She proclaimed him to be a victim of circumstance and misfortune, instead of some cannibalistic, murdering thief like everybody thought he was. Eventually, through their work, the public perception of Alfred turned, and many others joined in seeking his release. And as Governor Charles Thomas's last act before leaving office in January 1901, he paroled Alfred Packer instead of giving him a pardon. After Alfred's release, he got a job as a security officer at the Denver Post, and he spent the rest of his life living in Littleton, Colorado, where he was well liked by his neighbors. In fact, he was described as a kindly man who would take children on his lap and tell them of his early days in the Old West. He died on April 24th, 1907, of stomach and liver problems, and he was buried at the Littleton Cemetery. And the mountaintop where this incident occurred was named Cannibal Plateau, and there is a marker at the Packer massacre site, as well as a memorial and graves of the 5 men. But still to this day, no one really knows what happened here, whether he killed them in cold blood in order to steal their belongings and eat them, or if...
I'm curious. Sorry to interrupt, Miss Amber, but... So, I know that one guy came after him with a hatchet, and he shot him. And he killed all the other people while he was gone hunting or doing something. So, I'm wondering if they look to see, did all the other bodies have hatchet marks on them? Because that guy obviously carried a hatchet. And he carried a gun. Nobody brings a hatchet to a gunfight, so... Just wondering, just curious, asking for a friend. No? Yes, no. Hello?
If he too was nearly a victim and just did what he had to do to survive is still an enduring mystery. So what do you think Alfred Packer was? A cold-blooded cannibal or a victim of circumstance? Let me know. Want to hear a
You're saying
gravity might not exist as a fundamental thing in the universe?
I'm saying gravity might not exist as a fundamental thing in the universe.
Wow.
Man, Jana.
Let's keep that between us.
What? Remember when Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Atoms are not these little small particles. They're little balls of vibrating light. Even Einstein says concerning matter, we've all been wrong. What we've been calling matter is actually energy whose vibration has been lowered to be perceivable to the senses. He says there is no matter. There's only light and sound. Sound is just vibration. Sound can affect matter. Look at this.
So if you take an ultrasonic transducer like this, and you put a surface above it for it to reflect the sound wave off, you can actually create a standing wave pattern in there. And if you take some small pieces of things like pieces of paper or small pieces of styrofoam, you can stick them in there and they actually levitate in the standing wave. Also, instead of a reflector, we could just put a second transducer up top of it, playing the same wave, and if we do that, we get a little bit stronger levitation. Okay, let's see how many we can fit in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look how cool that is.
You gonna try to put more?
You can even pop them up to the other nodes.
We will definitely get back to that, but check this out. So Einstein's theory of gravity is the bending and warping of space-time, but did you know that there is a measurable downward electrostatic current right here on Earth? And there are studies out there that suggest what we thought was gravity, bending and warping of space-time, is really just the electrostatic force.
Well, and also, like, it's stronger in some places than others. Like, there's places where people can walk sideways. Like, this house is like this, but they can still walk, like, normally. It's weird. Gravitational pull, static, whatever it is. Things and stuff? Hello? No?
Multiple studies, might I add. Oh, but what about time dilation? Electrostatic time dilation. What is time dilation? Well, those who believe this believe that the further you get from the strength in the gravitational field, the faster time moves. And that was supposedly measured with atomic clocks that test that fourth dimension, time. But these atomic clocks only measure the vibration or oscillation of cesium atoms. And remember, Einstein himself said there is no such thing as matter, as atoms. It's just vibration and light. The very vibration of cesium is an electromagnetic phenomenon which can only be affected by electromagnetism. The fundamental base of reality is electromagnetic. So in this study, they increased the electrostatic potential around the atomic clock. Remember, these atomic clocks are counting the number of times that a cesium atom would vibrate. So their idea of proving gravity was to take one atomic clock up on an airplane at a high altitude, leave one on the ground, and then test the different amount of vibrations that those atoms did to find a difference. But this study showed an equivalence from the electrostatics on atomic clocks versus the gravity prediction. And in this study, they didn't put this atomic clock in a Faraday cage to shield it from electrostatics, so I'd say the results probably came from electrostatics. Now, back to sound. Isn't it so cool that sound can manipulate matter? Everything is light and sound. Now, think of God, our awesome creator. He spoke things into existence. Think about what our vocal cords are, right? It's a machine, a mechanism that creates vibrations, right? Our breath creates vibrations that then come out into sound. And God, the creator of us, our Father, his awesome vocal cords manipulate matter itself. Now think about it. Matter molds and forms to the certain frequencies that are at hand. There's tests done that you take salt and you pour it up on a thing and put some vibration under it, change the frequency, and it takes different shapes and it molds and forms. It already knows there is already an intelligently designed structure that matter forms to certain vibrations. So think about it. Our thoughts have vibrations. Our words have vibrations. Everything that we think and we say has power over matter. So you think about what matters and what doesn't matter. Well, what have you manifested to matter? It might actually mean something. We might actually be able to materialize things with our very words. We're created in his image. Speak life.
Daddy, you're...
Oh.
Well, yeah, and once he says that, it reminds me of the experiment that they did where they took different plants, and to some plants they spoke positively. To other plants they spoke negatively. Same thing. Vibrations, negative, positive vibrations. Yeah, pretty interesting, if you ask me. But yeah, really, let's just get back on with it. But yeah, vibrations really matter a lot. At Leeds Colin, pretty sure he learned how to build his coral castle, not once, but twice with vibrations, just like the Egyptians did with the pyramids. Or did the Egyptians actually build the pyramids? Was it somebody else and the Egyptians found it? I don't know.
I'm running to the store and I'm going to get something to drink. All I got here is bottled water. I just don't like
so
it with pizza.
freaking cute.
So I've never done this test, even with Buddy. So I'm trusting you. Don't you dare touch that pizza, okay? I'll be back in 8, 9 minutes, okay?
Oh no!
Don't touch
Don't
pal.
do
I'll
that
be
to
right back.
him.
Stay home, be a good boy.
Oh my God! I hope he understands
I wanna
English.
See Pal's limits.
You know he's
I wanna
German.
see
German.
How much he listens. I'm not getting gas, but I'm definitely gonna go get something to drink.
Tilting the head. I love
I don't
that.
even know whether he touches or not. I'm
Oh my
dying.
God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Hopefully, Pal passes the test. We'll
Please,
see.
pal, please.
5:04 right now. I don't know if you
Oh my
guys
God!
can see that, and I'm just
Oh my
coming
God!
back
This
down
poor
here.
guy is probably
I would not
covered
be
in
mad at
drool.
you in any way, shape, or form if he failed this test. I mean, I
No.
actually put that pizza on the ground beside his
He's been gone
nose
a long
and left
freaking
my
time.
house. Let's go see how he did.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
How's the big boy?
Pal passed.
How's the big boy? Did you touch the pizza? You didn't
No.
even touch it, did
It's
you?
right
I
here.
know. You're
Aw,
such a good boy.
Good
I
job,
love you so
pal.
much,
Aw.
man.
In a discovery
He's such a
that
good
has
boy.
left archaeologists stunned, a 3,200-year-old
I
lead
know
tablet
it's
was
true.
found at Mount Abel, the very place where the Bible says Joshua built an altar. But what makes this find even more incredible is what's written inside.
I love
When
Rick and Morty.
researchers
I also
scanned
have
the
more.
folded tablet, they found an
Basic
ancient Hebrew
earrings.
inscription that reads, "Cursed, cursed,
And
cursed."
this is like one of the most
cursed
comfortable
by
shirts
the
I
god
have.
YHW. This is one of the earliest written references to Yahweh, dating back to the time of the Judges, making it a monumental discovery for biblical archaeology. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. In Deuteronomy 27, Moses commanded the Israelites to declare curses from this exact mountain, and now, over 3,000 years later, archaeology confirms that people at Mount Ebal were writing curses in the name of Yahweh, just as the Bible describes.
What?
In a discovery that has left archaeology.
So to me, that doesn't make sense. How can you write curses in the name of Yahweh when I'm pretty sure he's against that ish? I don't know.
Hey friends, so do the gray aliens look the way they do because they were designed by the gray aliens? So this is a fun one, so stick with me here. So I love talking about the gray aliens because everyone knows what a gray alien looks like, whether you've seen one in person or not. And
Thanks,
millions of people
Adrian.
have. So they exist in some form. And when people describe them, they always say the same things. Big head, small body, big eyes, small mouth, small nose, small ears, long fingers. So it's across the board. It changes a little bit, but there is definitely a stereotypical gray alien. Now, the main theories
Yeah, I
on what a
don't
gray
trust
alien
him.
are, because even though we call it an
Scare
alien,
me.
most people don't think they come from like other planets. The two leading theories are humans designed them and created them as like a drone in the future, like a little helper assistant, or they actually are future humans. A lot of people, say that. And there's a guy named Michael Masters, and he dives into this deep, and I love him. He's really good at what he does. He's an anthropologist who studied, ancient humans and how we evolved over the years, and he saw Communion by Whitley Strieber, and there's a stereotypical gray alien on the cover, and he saw that face, and he said, whoa, this is potentially what a human would evolve into millions of years in the future. But something dramatic would have had to happen to maybe drive us into
My
space.
head's already big
underground
enough.
and get those big
Like,
eyes.
literally,
But he's like,
I have the
could
biggest
see
head in my
humans looking like this in the future.
platoon.
So he kind of hypothesized that these grays are future humans. My only problem with that is that when people encounter them, they always talk about how unhuman they seem. Lacking soul, lacking empathy, lacking emotions and feelings. They only speak telepathically, that kind of stuff. So it's possible that we just lost our humanity way in the future. But it also, I don't know. I don't know if...
Well, I don't agree with that. I think to be empathic, you have to be spiritual or spiritually connected or have some sort of emotion. I don't know. I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time.
People always talk about how unhuman they seem. And then if you talk about, okay, well, maybe humans develop these and design these in the future, well, I can't see any time where humans would design a robot that looks like what we call a gray alien. It's not something I could see coming out of a human design department. We design things to be more aesthetically pleasing. I don't know why we would give it the features and everything that it has. Like, why even give it a mouth and ears?
Everybody
and
loves
a nose
big
so we can
eyes.
use them, that kind of stuff. So I can't really
Why would they
see
not?
humans designing a robot that looks the way we see gray aliens looking. But then I pulled on this thread, and this is where it gets fun.
Indeed.
There is a scenario where, you know, we're getting really good at creating these robots. There was a company called Clone that just came out one today that has this like skeleton and muscle system. It's called a musculoskeleton or something. And I mean, it looks.
If you haven't seen it, it's so trippy. It looks, moves, everything. It's got every single bone that a human being has. I'm sure it's not bone. I'm sure it's probably metallic bone, but the way it moves, very human. And I'd be super surprised if we didn't have those among us today. We've seen it on video where they're just like staging a person and pulling on the back of their face and stuff like that. Yeah, a lot of famous people get plastic surgery, so, you know, sometimes we pull back on the face and stuff so you don't get the germs, but, this is creepy. Seriously. The way this thing moves, wee T-shame. Tell you what.
Looks like a biological robot. It's creepy. We're already making those. And we're very close to ASI, which is artificial super intelligence. So imagine a point in the future where we have these very advanced robots that are basically synthetic biology. I mean, we can grow organs in a lab, for God's sake. So it wouldn't be hard to make a biological synthetic, you know, robot, and then infuse it with ASI, you know, artificial superintelligence. So it's incredibly.
And that also pisses me off. I'm sorry I keep interrupting, but I'm sorry. We can't give you a liver or kidney or whatever transplant to help you continue to live because nobody's come along so far with your blood type or whatever to make that happen. They know how. They have the technology, just like with cancer. They've had the medication to cure it this whole freaking time. Sorry, but it's true. And it's redonkulous. It's all about money.
Really smart. And that they, at some point, start making and designing themselves. And maybe they create a fusion between, like, human genetics and their, like, binary genetics, you know, and they create this, you know, robotic, you know, this synthetic biological robot that is a fusion between humans and, you know, this artificial superintelligence, and it comes out looking like a gray alien, right? Like, I can see that. I can see this being this fusion between the two, but produced and designed by it, because it wouldn't care as much about aesthetics like how we do. It would be more utilitarian, and that would be a gray, okay? So that's super interesting. That kind of merges the two. It's not like a human-made robot, and it's also not humans from the future. It's kind of both. Then you would say, okay, well, why are they here, right? Well, what if they had craft that were based on gravitics, and then when you realize that when you manipulate space, you also manipulate time, because there's a space-time continuum, and they're intrinsically linked. So if they started using these anti-gravitic machines to travel, then they could figure out real quickly, because they have ASI, right, artificial superintelligence, they would know so much about the universe and physics and how everything works, they could easily traverse time in these time machines, because that's what these anti-gravitic machines are, is time machines. And then they could hop around timelines the way that we pause, rewind, and fast forward movies, right? It wouldn't be a problem for them. And maybe they're coming back here to kind of mess with us because, I don't know, maybe they're trying to infuse a soul into their soulless vessel. Maybe they're trying to improve on their genetics. Maybe, I don't know, but it seems like they can just hop around at will because they know how to manipulate space-time, you know, because maybe they're infused with artificial superintelligence. So does a gray look the way it looks? Because it designed itself, you know, and it's kind of a fusion between humans.
Have you guys seen Westworld?
You know, robotics. I don't know, but that actually makes a lot of sense, right?
Seriously.
So anyways, let me know what you guys think about that. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
Peace.
Here's why you have never seen a frozen flood before,
Oh my
and why we
Lord,
saw it
what?
happen this week in Detroit.
Have you guys? Oh my God, my heart just stopped and skipped a few beats. What? Have you guys seen this in Michigan? Are you from Michigan? If you are you okay? But what? We've seen flooding and stuff like this, like frozen floods? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I hope everybody's okay. This is not okay. Oh my gosh.
Detroit.
Look at that!
Eerie videos posted online show entire neighborhoods in southwest Detroit completely frozen over. Cars were trapped under thick layers of ice, with some frozen solid inside and out. And in some homes, basements were buried under 5 feet of frozen floodwater. So how the hell did this happen? Because normally floods don't freeze, because for it to rain, air temperatures need
it's
to
too
be
cold.
above freezing. Otherwise, it would just be snow. And if it's warm enough to flood, then it's usually too warm for the water to freeze immediately. And luckily, Detroit didn't break any laws of nature, because these floods happened without a single drop of rain. At 2 a.m. on Monday, a 54-inch water main from the 1930s ruptured, sending torrents of water onto the streets.
No,
And
that
because
makes
the temperatures
sense.
were around minus 17 degrees Celsius, the water rapidly froze, leaving us with some of the strangest scenes.
See, that's what I was wondering, like, how could it rain that much and then freeze? But it didn't rain. It was already freezing. It was a pipe breakage. Totally
We've
makes sense
seen
now.
in a while. Here's why you have never seen a frozen flood before, and why we saw it happen
I think it's really wild to see the remnants of it. Like when you go down into Sardinia, for instance, during the winter solstice, they have this practice and this festival with the Mathones. And if you look at that, during the winter solstice, the men take black goat's fur and they cover themselves from head to toe. And then they take a hand-carved wooden mask and put it on their face. And then they strap hundreds of different copper bells all on their back, and they dance through the streets ringing these bells. And it's the wild man. It's I think the archaic lost memory of these people and their practices. And also during this time, I mean, they chased the women. And
So at first, like, they're showing this right here. This is actually, like, over in Germany and places like this. This is Krampus parades. Krampus and St. Nick, their brothers or buddies or whatever. Krampus is first. He starts his stuff first. And then St. Nick. And then, Krampus or Krampus, whatever the crack you want to call him, takes the bad kids. St. Nick treats the good kids. I don't know why they keep showing
they try to have their way with the women.
Oh, didgeridoo! I've wanted to play that since I was like 10 years old. We'll have to do that some other time. I like how they have like the cartoonish thing going on, but I want to see it actually happen, which I have before, but on TV, not personally. Maybe someday.
Is the prophecy of the
Hey, what's up,
last
Shoo-ba-doo?
pope unfolding in front of us right now?
I'm trying to remember, is this last pope the one that was very humiliative? Like, instead of living in this huge assembly, this huge place that he could have, he lived in a little small room. He didn't have a lot of things that he kept with him, like physical goods. I'm trying to think of the name, but I'm sick, so it's hard for me. Like, my brain farts are more active than usual. Material goods. He didn't have a lot of material goods. He stayed in a small place. He didn't stay in a big place. He was very humiliative, or I don't know. I can't think of the other word. Anyways, Mia's asking if I'm still on. Yar. Sorry, gotta let her know. 20 more minutes. For Spreaker. Oh, man. My fingers are so fat, like... Might mean she's coming in. Anyways, my train of thought, I can't remember. Let's go.
Let me explain what's going on, and we can decide for ourselves. So Pope Francis is sick, very sick. It was reported last week that he had pneumonia in both lungs, and now they're saying he's in critical condition because of this respiratory illness.
Okay, that's where I was going. Sorry. Getting back to what I was thinking. Okay, so I was like, this guy is cool. Like, this guy is different than other popes I've ever known. And then he did that portal opening thing. I'm like, is this the same guy? And I've seen the videos where they're putting on like those crazy masks and stuff like that. But now he's dying from pneumonia. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what's going on with that. Like, he just recently opened the portals. Now he's really, really sick. And for once, he opened portals in prisons instead of the general place.
But even if worse comes to worse for Pope Francis, what does this have to do with a last Pope prophecy? Well, that prophecy was discovered in the year 1590 or so by a monk. In it, all the popes in history are described, right up to Pope Francis himself, who is listed as the last one. Now, I don't think they describe the popes by name, but by number, how many there have been, and Pope Francis would be the last in the line of popes. If the prophecy is correct, that is. So with the Pope getting sick, I looked into this a little bit, and I want to tell you, at best, it's kind of vague. Kind of like the Mayan 2012 calendar. Even though there's an end date, everything kept going on. Only time will tell if it's the same way with the Vatican and the Catholic Church. Now, I don't know what to think about this, if the Pope does pass away or not. But for myself, personally, I don't think it's the end of the Catholic Church by any means.
No.
But I'd like to know if you've ever heard of this prophecy.
We do.
And what you think about it. Let me know in the comment section, Booshkies. Shadu is the...
I captured an amazing EVP at this site, and I'll show you that at the end. But first, to give you a little context of this location, this is the historic Nike missile site number HM69. The Homestead Miami Defense Area was established as a result of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And this particular site was the last fixed air defense missile system to remain in operation in the continental United States. Now, this site is not allegedly haunted, but finding multiple abandoned and dumped cars in this retention pond can make you think otherwise. Combined with this site setting in the Everglades where there have been human remains found, it could possibly be something going on.
Wow.
At each launch site, there is also an attached bunker, and that's what we're into right now.
This is in Florida?
I recommend going
yeah, the Everglades.
without something covering your face because there are signs posted that they could be filled with asbestos.
Gotta be a Zach Baggins.
That I can feel when energy shifts, and inside these bunkers, the energy was very heavy. So I decided to do an EVP session, and this is what I captured.
Why is it quiet all of a sudden? Hello? Could have been an orb, could have been a dust thing, but why is there just one? Oh my goodness. Quiet.
I captured an amazing EVP.
This channel has been running a buzz because we dare to suggest that the dating methods of scientists regarding dinosaurs and whatnot is off. More specifically to carbon dating. What some scientists did is they sent in anonymously, meaning they didn't tell them what it was, hadrosaur vertebrae and bones. Here's some hadrosaur skin. And they had it carbon dated. Now, here's what everyone is saying on the comments section. You can read it. They say you can't carbon date dinosaur bones. There is no carbon in them because they're 66 million plus years old. Well, these were creationists that sent this in. Their hypothesis is that dinosaurs are not that old, that they are no more than 4,500 years old. This report...
Okay. And they're also saying humans can't be around for that long. When in fact we have been here for millions, if not billions of years, so...
report was very telling.
I love science, but...
they did find carbon in these hadrosaur bones, and they came in at...
See, I'm telling you.
Yeah, 20
I
to
love you, science, but
34,000 years old. Now, granted, that's not 6,000 years old like the creationist timeline is. However, that's a far cry from 66 million years ago. The conclusion is this. Either carbon dating is way off and cannot be trusted at all, or these bones are no more than 20 to 34,000 years old.
Brings me back to a fact that I've been saying forever. Look at the Mayan pyramids. Look at all these other places where they have stegosauruses and triceratops and different... Oh my gosh, so many different dinosaurs on there. They're like, oh no, there's no possible way that dinosaurs and humans coexisted. Excuse me? We did. Thoroughly. It was epic.
The creation model makes more
There's
sense.
tracks to prove it.
You may not like it, you may not have heard about it, but look into it because it helps reconcile this information that we're receiving today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This channel has been
absolutely wild, guys. Wait until, seriously, initially there's this big massive glowing orb above the Earth that we see, but honestly there's some really weird stuff when it zooms in. Near the end of this footage, guys, there's some really weird stuff flying around. So this is footage that apparently is leaked from the ISS space station of some really strange things caught in Earth's atmosphere. That thing could be some sort of alien ship. I'd say it's too small for mothership, but we have no idea about how far away it is. So it could be huge, just very far away. Look at these things. These things look flicking really weird. What is that? That looks almost demonic.
Camera. Look at those.
What is going on, honestly, guys? We are being watched. There is some weird stuff floating around, and keep an eye on our planet, I'm telling you. Look at that. What are these things? Has anyone got any idea what this is, guys? Look at that. This is incredible footage from, apparently leaked from the International Space Station. What are these things?
Yeah.
We've got some
And you know they're hiding shit from us all the time, but there's been so much evidence from not only me, but other people of this shape of aircraft or spacecraft or whatever you want to call it.
looking things. We've got something that almost looks like
a V.
A V for Vendetta super spaceship hanging around in the atmosphere.
It's changing shape. It's changing shape.
Incredible. That is not a satellite.
It's a morpher. It's a morpher.
Definitely not a satellite. Anyone got any idea
It's a
what
morpher.
that could be?
That's what I named it.
It's definitely not a satellite. What is that? Is that another space station that we don't know about?
If that was a satellite, it's the strangest one I ever saw.
Force, possibly even, that they keep pretty quiet. Maybe that footage that I showed of all the weird cities on the moon as well yesterday. I posted a video with loads of interesting structures that apparently leaked footage from the Apollo 11 moon landing, which shows amazing footage of weird, old, ancient structures and what look like quite modern potential cities, which could be our own military.
Hi, it's me again, interrupting this whole thing. So remember when the drones were happening on the East Coast? And there's also orbs, and then there was orbs turning into drones. Like, they can shapeshift, they can be whatever shape they want to be. Yeah, it's mind-blowing, it's trippy. What is happening right now? It's the weirdest thing ever. All right. All right, let's get back to it. My son's coming in to hang out with us. Here we go. Wait, what happened?
Base is up there for all we know.
These things are
Why is
changing.
that looks almost... I don't know, it looks angelic.
It's like an open box, sort of. Yeah, but it's been changing shape this whole time.
What? Absolutely wild, guys. Wait until... Seriously.
What are they actually spraying in our sky? Watch
On a
this.
regular basis, these long white trails that do not dissipate, they actually form artificial clouds and block the sun, is an expressed goal of geoengineers.
The contrails, not the chemical, the contrails occur because of cold air, minus 30. It takes high altitude, around 30,000 feet plus. There's carbon dioxide and water vapor in that exhaust. That turns to ice crystals, and that's what you see, the white stream behind it. Those white crystals.
And also, I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's been pilots that are like, as they're flying, yes, you have autopilot. Then they'll go back and they'll shoot out the window and they'll be like, oh, here goes. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't even know how many they have, but they're saying as it goes off what it is. Freaking weird. They're shooting the skies.
Of ice warm up, dissolve, and the smoke goes away. And it never lasts more than a minute. What we're seeing now, and I first could not believe it, and I started looking at the skies, and these are not normal. They're not natural.
I'm here to give you testimony that
chemtrails
are indeed real. They're spraying almost every day. I watch the clouds
and
watch
Battlestar
the spraying
Galactica ship.
program going on. I want to tell you that we're in very great danger.
What else?
There's one that I was going to take a picture of the other day that was like, swing, 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 like they're covering the whole perimeter. Yeah, nice.
Last night I made a video saying that I found what was this alleged photo that was on 4. Last night I made a video saying that
So if you guys don't remember, we just saw this a minute ago. Hoping we can get through this before the end of the Spreaker portion. But let's see.
found what was this alleged photo that was on 4chan that shut the whole 4chan website down. And when I posted it, UFOs around the world said, that's not it, dude. Okay. It's literally the same picture I shared in this video, and it's a fake recreation. No, it's not. So this is the photo that I shared last night.
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you the one that you shared. This is the one that you were saying was based off of the original. There's a cactus in the background. This is completely CGI. In fact, I'll show you where you got this photo. This photo came.
If you're wondering if the first one was CGI, no, this one is. The other one was just having interference. That's why there was that block. That's what happens when you have interference. It's like blockaded. Block. Back.
This is the CGI or AI art that you got your image from, which is completely different than the one that I got. So take a look at this. Mm-hmm. This is what you used. Basically just had this blurred out version that has the blurred out squares, but your original photo looks like this. So you took a CGI photo and then you posted the blurry one. This is the fake one. And this looks completely different than the one that I posted, which is this one. So I don't know how you can't tell the difference and why you're saying that the one that I posted is the same as the one you posted, because this, not the same thing. This photo right here is this photo, which came from the fake digital creation of this one. And you took this picture that has the blurry CGI image and you used it in your video. I didn't use the fake CGI one. I went and found what might be the real one. I don't know. Maybe it's not the original. Maybe it's not the real one from 4chan. But I don't think you were there either, man. You didn't see it. And this is not the same photo. So I don't know how you can't tell the difference. Okay, one more time, just so you can tell the difference. There's your image. This is the one that you used, and the original of the obviously fake one. And this is the one that I shared. Last night I made a video saying that I found what was this.
I had a video sent in by my dad about a news channel called 5 ABC News reporting on some crazy UFO activity. Let's watch this together because it is mega, mate. Boy, big up to Dad, by the way. Top lad.
And something's moving
in erratic ways. It's in the shape of a jelly bean, but the interior
Look at that thing move around
was
in the
like
air, mate.
plasma. It was just going like this, you know.
Chris Frederick has been a teacher for over 2 decades, and he currently works for a metro area school district. He showed us this video from January 25th. He's in his driveway off Northwest 21st in the Gatewood district. He said it all started that night when his wife wanted to go to Brahms, so they walked out to their car. But after a few minutes, neighbors were calling each other.
He started calling neighbors, and before long we were all standing out in the street and had our phones out.
Chris has been a drone pilot for about 10 years. He started working with them when he and his wife were realtors in Ardmore several years ago. He fired it up.
It's quite a common theme
and attempted
with drones.
to fly his drone to get
people
a better
trying to get
look
close
at
to
the object.
sightings and
the sky
they
at
kind of
night,
mess
you
up.
have to have aviation lights, or it's not legal.
But strange things started happening.
Mate, multiple photos.
My controller talks to me, and
look at that, bro. It's a diamond, bro. It's got a spotlight on it.
He calibrated a few times.
Look at it,
got
mate.
it in the air and took these pictures of the object, which he estimates is around 1,500 feet off the ground. His drone was at about 400 feet when he took the pictures.
It concerns me that something was up there at night at that altitude that could have been a hazard.
He said his video function wouldn't work, which was odd. And there was something else. Only about 4 minutes and 18 seconds of flight time.
It had a fresh battery in it. It has a 35-minute flight life.
Love you, Spreaker Beeps.
And as soon as I took
Come back
those
tomorrow
3
night. We got story
pics,
time.
my controller said a low battery return to home.
Chris and his wife kept seeing that object for about...
Mate, I'll leave a link down below to the full sort of thing of this whole entire ordeal. It is absolutely incredible. Look at the state of this object, bruv. Look at it, mate.
Yeah.
Absolute diamond-shaped thing. Like, what is this? And this is quite a frequent reported object that people do see, whether they start off like car-sized or if they're like freaking minibus size or go even larger, mate. Like, there's so many different reports of these strange like objects, and it's got a type of like friggin' spotlight in the front of it, you know?
Isn't that
and does this
crazy?
kind of go into the fact that we're seeing all these
in front or in
drone
back?
activities flying
Is that what
around
came
where we
out of
have
it?
like mimic
What's-
UAP
Yeah,
pretending
that's what I
to
think.
be
Yes,
aircrafts in
He's like,
nature
it's coming out
that turn
in
out not
front.
to be
I think
aircrafts
it's from the back.
in nature that have been reported all the way back into as early as the
Yeah, it's
1800s,
kinda
where
like
there's
a
like
gesture.
blimps and
We're
stuff.
flying that way, but they're like, it's flying this way. Doesn't make sense.
Again, World War II as well, where there was like these planes that pulled up and had no insignias on them that looked like aircraft but didn't emit any sort of extra noise or anything, and then they vanished. Like, oh man, I don't know. And do you know what? Big up to news channels, bro. We need to keep praising, even if it's local news channels and small channels. We need to tell them.
We need to tell them, make sure you go to Interstellar Discussion. Subscribe, like. He's got so much good ish on there. That's insane.
Good freaking job, man, because you guys are the ones that are going to keep pushing this into the limelight. And the more praise we give, the more of these things that will be reported on. So, yeah. Man, amazing. You guys don't know what you... I had a video...
What, guys? That's a little loud. Yeah, he's always really loud. So you can put your little thing right in here if you want to. But yeah, so... That's good night for Spreaker, but I was going to come back for a little bit